This is Jordan Grace, and you're listening to the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
BWB, this is One Nation Radio. You better get it right. Rich Latta, James Boyd came to give them life. The Blackest Wrestling Podcast has come to kick all ass and drop it 6 feet if they kicking trash. Word, let me welcome y'all to something different. And if you dig it, man, you should let some friends listen. We be getting it in, this on the regular, dude. Ravish and flow, but this shit rude. See, James don't rap, so I had to break it down. The whole network, man, we coming for the crown. Raps in the columns, I keep them both covered. Making the beats too, so the listeners can bump it. Hit us with the rating, yeah, I'm saying it's a 5. Before you hit it, talk, bob your head side to side. It's One Nation Radio, and this is the beginning. It's Rich, and I'm here with James. It's time to listen to One Nation.
We got to unleash the power of the pyramid.
This is Mike Sempervive from WrestlingObserver.com. Check me out on Wrestling Observer Live every day. And also check out your boys, Rich and James, on One Nation Radio.
This is Kenny Omega. We're listening to One Nation Radio. Check it out, guys. These guys know what's up. Big Kenny Omega fans, that's all that counts to me. Goodbye and good night. Bang.
Hey, folks. Welcome to One Nation Radio. I'm James Boyd, and I have Rich Latta with me. What's going on, man?
Not much, man. Chilling. Ready for One Nation Radio. We've got some reviews to do on some big shows this week and some other stuff to get into as well. Where do you want to begin?
You actually asking me, or you already have something like typed up and be like, this is actually where we're going? Because
I don't have anything.
All right. So for me, I want to talk about like the NBA real quick and start off with this, and then we can move on to the wrestling. Okay, so I don't know which one to go first. Should we go with the Gobert trade, or should we go with Durant? I don't know which one we should go, because they tie into both. Like,
I guess you should start with Durant.
All right, so Durant asked for a trade and then says that he wants his, with 4 years left on his deal, and says that he that his 2 top teams on his whatever list he has are the Heat and the Suns. And for me,
shocker.
It's like, why you say that?
Kevin Durant wanted to go to the number 1 ranked team somewhere. What a shock.
Was Miami number 1 ranked team?
Yes.
They did have the 1 seed. That's right. Anyway, so it's interesting to me because, like, the week before, like, Kyrie or the Nets have made it known to Kyrie that they didn't want to give him a long-term extension, and then he, starts floating out stuff about how he's willing to even, just leave out of his 1-year option for was $36 million and just take a $6 million deal somewhere, presumably the Lakers. And
we don't believe you. You need more people.
Right. And then that's for like, go, we don't care. And like Kyrie's also banking on not just his like the leverage of him as a player and his talents. It's that like Durant will then ask for a trade, and the word gets out. It was like, yeah, they don't care. Like they'd rather lose both of them than have to deal with what they dealt with him. So he says, all right, you call my bluff. I'm taking my $36 million after I just, lost out on what, like $18 million last year because I was like the only person in the NBA out of 400 people that didn't want to get vaxxed, or something like that. Maybe there was another person. I just can't remember. But anyway, so he's there and they're stuck with him. And like nobody, keep in mind, like Kyrie's 29 or 30, and like he's still like obviously very talented, one of the most talented dudes in the league when he plays. But the thing is, like, he doesn't play for whether it's one reason or another. There's always something that happens with him to why he doesn't show up to work. But like, there's no trade market for him as a person that like could be second team All NBA very next season. Like, that wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility that he just shows up and is like, oh yeah, I'm the fourth best guard or third best guard in the NBA next year. That could absolutely happen. He's talented enough to do it. He just has to show up to work. So like that, it's funny to me. Like, there's no trade market for him. No one cares. No one wants to put up with the headache that is him or whatever else. And then Durant is like, he hadn't talked to Joe Tsai, the owner of the Nets, or to Sean Marks, the head of management over at Brooklyn. And like after all that stuff goes down, and Kyrie goes to his option, Durant lets it be known to Joe Tsai like he wants out, and like who knows what conversation they had before he first got to the Nets. But like normally when hearing about these stories with these star players at this point in the game now is like when it comes to getting traded somewhere or signing on to these big term deals, like very similar to Morey and Harden, where it's like, hey, sign on, and if you want to get out, we'll accommodate you to get out, which is why people didn't understand why like Harden was able to get out of his deal to go to Brooklyn to begin with. But so now they're in a situation where it's like they got to blow it up, and like I think people just slow to understand the way the dynamics have changed around the league for me, where it's like, yeah, blow it up. They can still make the playoffs in 2-3 years. And I think people still are stuck on the part where, like, if you blow it up, like, you're done for a decade. Yeah. And I think also people think about their draft picks, say, well, they, all their draft picks are gone, or half of their draft picks are gone. Of course they're going to be done. It was like, nah, man, like, you trade Kevin Durant, you get your draft right back. Like, you're still Brooklyn, New York. People are going to play for you. Your money still spins somewhere. Like maybe you won't be able to get some, or like depending on how this goes, like if you don't, ruin your rep as far as being able to handle people or whatever on his way out the door, like you start over, you take the draft capital from getting him, and then you throw money at somebody at a free agent sticker price. And I just think, obviously, I think there's a way to separate like, how people want to point and laugh at Kevin Durant because, like, the Warriors won a title with, like, what he actually brings to you as, like, being at worst the fourth best player in this league still, at 34. So, like, it's interesting to see, like, people, like, get lost in that because, like, the Warriors won a title even though they had the second pick of the draft 2 years ago and whiffed it. It's like they rebuilt around that. Like, I understand. They
rebuilt and got healthy. Because, I mean, Steph Curry, like, did play 5 games one of the seasons.
Yeah. That's the reason why they had to rebuild. And that's the reason why, when I was, I think the conversation for me was, like, kind of brought to me is, like, why people are so off on, I feel like people are so off on is, like, Chad had said it to me, like, why would anybody want to put up with Kevin Durant shit? And it was like, well, what shit did Kevin Durant put people up with that was actually his shit? Like, is his shit actually his shit, or is it like really just him not telling Kyrie to knock it the fuck off or get on the boat, or I don't want to say get on the boat. That sounds like slavery. Like get on the bus or I'm gonna ride off without you, right? Like, I'm not saying there's no culpability he has on it as a leader or at being the best player on the team, or whatever else, but I think there's also like. That dude shows up to work all the time, and that dude like plays hard, and then that dude like was exhausted after because his homeboy didn't show up to work. He should have told his homeboy to show up to work, but whatever.
The Nets gave him everything he asked for. I feel no sympathy for Kevin Durant. None.
I do, because like his friend was supposed to hold up his end of the bargain. Like if you're saying that like he shouldn't have picked his friend to begin with, like, well, yeah,
like. What about Kyrie Irving shows that he's trustworthy when Kevin Durant on the record is all he wants to do is ball, and he looks like he's following behind Kyrie Irving, who looks like he's not to be trusted, followed, believed in at any stop in his NBA career.
Okay, so I would say this: up until this point with Kyrie, it was one. Why would anybody want to play with LeBron James? Right? And people were actually with there like, well, yeah, he should leave because LeBron's gonna leave Kyrie holding the bag in 2000 at the end of 2018, and then he's gonna go somewhere, go to the Lakers, and then Kyrie's gonna be stuck in some bad team, and Kyrie's better than that. So he went to the Celtics, right? So then he goes to the Celtics, and then like everyone, and then same thing when a lot of people. right? A lot of people that don't like Danny Ainge, don't like Bill Simmons and the rest of that whole entire media conglomerate faction of Boston area, New England guys that cover the Celtics or whatever else, and thought they were too hard on Kyrie because they don't like the Celtics to begin with, right? So you go through hearing all that stuff, right? Like there's the anti-LeBron camp, there's the anti-Celtics camp, and like people were like, well, it's Kyrie, it's KD. They're going to play, and when they play, what do you think is going to happen? The problem is, like, this whole thing where, like, Kyrie does this is a new fucking development. He wasn't doing this with the Celtics or the Cavs, where he just, like, I'm going to take him off 2 weeks for my birthday. Like, that never happened. That never happened before. This is some new shit. So for me, it's like, I don't believe that Kevin Durant was just like, yeah, bro, go ahead. I just don't. I don't think it's a conversation that was had. It was like, hey, we're friends, and you get stuck in these situations where it's like, I don't want to have an awkward conversation with my friend that's fucking up, like, the job or whatever else. Obviously, it's like, hey, bro, you got to say something to him. We don't know if he said something to him or not. We have no idea.
I know they got a washed up DeAndre Jordan $40 million while gutting their entire depth before. I know that they got James Harden in there, and then something went awry, and Harden wanted to get out of there.
Yeah, well, the Harden thing was like basically like it all blew up once the whole thing happened when they brought him back last year. They brought Kyrie back, where it's like, hey, if you don't want to take the shot, sit at home, only collect, whatever else you done for the year. And then eventually, remember, like, they were talking about how Durant was like the front one for MVP for the beginning of the year. And then, like, it seemed as if, like, they were running, because of the COVID situation, with all the people getting put in COVID jail, like, they were short on bodies. And then they were like, well, fuck, we kind of do need them. And then they did the whole thing where they let him play, and then he would sit out games and whatever else. And then he was like halfway in, halfway out while being there, being a distraction to everybody. And then Harden was like, bro, like,
and running his own practices.
Y'all two called me to come over here or whatever else. And then, like, he's not here. And he's here, and he's here. And when he is here, he's not here half the time. Like, this wasn't what I was like, this isn't what y'all brought me in for. I want out. Send me to Philly. And then he's in Philly.
For Ben Simmons.
Yeah, and then the Ben Simmons thing happened. Ben Simmons doesn't even fucking play. We don't know if he'll ever play again. Who knows?
Who signed off on that? I don't know. Like, I still am failing to see where Kevin Durant is this tragic figure.
I didn't say he's a tragic figure. I'm saying that, like, I think that it's he's put in a bad position. Like, I don't think he's necessarily like 2000 or post 2004 KG on the Timberwolves. I don't think he's that. No.
Yeah, like, he is. He's walked himself in these situations, and now he's got to get himself out. Like, they're not coming to save you, Kevin Durant. I don't know who, what all-stars you expect to show up. You're gonna have to go, like, find your own, thing there. And the problem with trading for Durant is you're gonna have to give a bunch of shit, and he still wants to play with, like, 2 all-stars already, like, in place there. It's like, what type of unrealistic demands are you trying to make?
Is that actually out there? I didn't hear that.
Yes. Like, that's out there, that he wants to play on a team that already has, like, 2 all-stars on it and whatever. But
what place has 2 all-stars?
Exactly. And enough draft capital to do the trades or whatever. Like, you would think the Suns would try to trade, like, DeAndre Ayton and everything to get him, but
would you want DeAndre Jordan to be the best player in a Kevin Durant trade? Because I wouldn't.
Well, if you think about the like, his age, and you can still re-sign him for, like, the rest of his rookie deal, that might be the best option to go with, especially with, like, looking at who's available.
He's going to a 2nd-year deal right now, isn't he?
He's about to get his extension, and the Suns don't want to give it to him.
Right. But that means that, like, you have to trade for Durant and then you have to give a 2nd-year max or something approaching that to DeAndre Ayton. I wouldn't want to do that.
I don't think they got a lot of options. Like, to tell you the truth. So, like,
no. Well, I mean, if that is actually the trade, I don't know where he ends up. I my whole thing is like he says he wants to go X, Y, and Z, but doesn't mean they have to actually acquiesce. I would assume that they can't just trade him to Siberia because he can still say, hey, no, I'm not going there. I just won't show up. And like no team is going to want to trade for him without some type of assurance that like they're not going to have to do this in 2 years. But like I just think that it's interesting to see like think about like where he could end up. Given that like there are a bunch of places with like draft capital, and I think that it's also made weird with like the fucking Rudy Gobert trade because it's like that is what the draft capital would have been, and then like fucking Gobert got it at 30, and it's like on what planet does he on what like how did Danny Ainge do this again?
Swindling.
Yeah, so let's just move on. Like Rudy Gobert with what 3 years in like basically like 100 and what'd it be like
$160 million, $150 million left.
It's probably like 120. It's probably like $120 million off on his deal with 3 years left. At age 30, gets traded to the Timberwolves for basically 3 first-round draft picks in the 2029 draft pick being top 5 protected. With throw-ins like Malik Beasley and other people that made in like a rookie and also Patrick Beverly. And I'm just like, okay, so you basically like traded like a whole war chest of assets as the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Minnesota Timberwolves. You traded all these draft picks to get a dude that, like, there's no guarantee you get to the Western Conference Finals with him.
I figure when you're Minnesota, you got to kind of take a shot in the dark. You've been terrible for years and years and years, and you guys finally got, like, a ray of hope with Anthony Edwards and, finally getting back to the playoffs. I think the last time they were in the playoffs, I think Jimmy was there. They got an 8 seed. And before that, it was just a decade of futility, pretty much going back to Kevin Garnett being there the first time.
Right.
So I don't necessarily blame the Timberwolves for taking a swing at it. And they're like, we just want to compete. And there's going to be only one team that wins the title anyway. Try to get as close as you can.
Yeah, but how do I say this?
Like, I'm seeing these people like do these reviews and like they're giving the Timberwolves a D like on this stuff, and I'm like, how is it a D? I'm like, we have to remember like these are actual players, like, and like people are so in love with like draft capital all the time, and like people like 7th graders that are getting traded right now, and I'm like, bro, I don't care. Like Rudy Gobert can help. He's a good player. Like,
yeah, he's a good player, but he's a player that takes you from, all right, you were in the first round and lost in the first round. Like now, like you traded basically half of a decade of draft picks. So now that means you should be able to. That should be like the equivalent of you get an Anthony Davis like in 2020. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the people that you trade that kind of capital for are people that are like first team All NBA and are not first team All NBA because center's a weird designation. I mean, like an actual top 10 player. He's never been a top 10 player.
Minnesota's never getting a free agent ever. Like, they have to take these swings, like, as far as like trading for people.
So, knock on wood, what happens when like Anthony Davis, or one of these years where it's like, you think it would have been a normal year, right? Where it's like, all right, they're going to make the playoffs every single year because they have Anthony Davis and Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns. Mm-hmm. And then it's one of them years where like Ant-Man, like he blows a knee. That's the time when you go and able to get your missing piece that, in that situation where like they're at X and they can't, or they're in that like 45 win territory and they're stuck in that non-contender, in that pretender territory, and then they have that piece that falls in their lap that gets them over the top. Like, it's never happening now. This is their team. Like, once they get to the max extension, because this is year 2 for Anthony Edwards. In 2 years, when they give Anthony Edwards his max extension, that's their team. That's who they are. They're fucked. And it's like, and then the idea to like get out of it is like, then you trade Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah, eventually you're trading.
And then you trade Karl Anthony Towns, and when you don't win a title with this team, because like they're going to be good in the regular season because Gobert and the going small thing doesn't affect them in that way when it's just playing teams and nobody's game planning you or whatever else. But like once you get the Clippers back or the Warriors or whoever else, or like Dallas that just goes small and plays them off the court, not literally plays them off the court, but like really hurts them when they're in the playoffs, then it's like, okay, so we're just stuck here and we're a second round team, we do kick in the second round, and then like by the next thing you know, like they're trading Karl Anthony Towns, Gobert is like 34, and you can't throw him the ball when like Reggie Jackson's guarding him, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, and then like Anthony Edwards gonna look around and be like, bro, you just traded Anthony Towns to try to, I'm 27. I want to get out of here. I feel like
he's gonna leave anyway, right? So you're
we
trying
don't
to
know
max
that. We don't know that.
I feel like I know enough about Anthony Edwards. I don't think he's going to be a career Timberwolf.
I would say this, if I were going to,
they got 5 years to figure it out with him.
What I'm saying is, if you do it the way they're doing it, where like you have no draft capital and to protect yourself and to get yourself in a situation where like you can stumble into like the French Victor dude or whatever else, in case one of them get hurt this year or whatever else, and you got lottery balls in your favor, or and you don't have the draft capital like the Rockets or the Thunder, and like now also you have a huge salary cap sheet and you have no flexibility. Like, why do they look more attractive than the Lakers do? I mean, they'll make the playoffs. You get my point. Like, they're fucked the same way. Except the Lakers are further down the line because like
they have young stars under 27 years old.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you're right. The healthier stars. Yeah, that's sure. But I mean, as far as like, I mean the part as far as like you're putting yourself far along to go down this road to where like you can't win at the top, you can't do real winning, and like the only way out is to make it to where like it's gonna look like that Donovan Mitchell situation where it's like, do I want to stay here now that like Gobert's gone? Like, do I want to stay here now that Cat's gone? And it's like, all right, man. Like, I feel like if you were to run the numbers, if some dork was to run the numbers on doing this versus doing this, what the likely outcomes are of like what side of like making this trade and not making this trade, what's more likely to keep Anthony Edwards? What they were doing is more likely to keep Anthony Edwards in this. I that's how I feel, because now it's like, now you're stuck. I feel like you're just stuck, and that's your team, and there's no way out. There's no being able to stick around in case like the next disgruntled star falls to your lap or whatever else.
So are you saying they should have tried to trade for Kevin Durant instead of Rudy Gobert? Or
I mean, if it was an option, I don't think he would have gone to Minnesota if you'd have been like, no, I don't want to go there. But like, if it was on the table, absolutely, anyone would have rather have Kevin Durant than Gobert. And it is also like, I understand that like people are trying to talk themselves into Karl Anthony Towns being the greatest shooting big man of all time for whatever that's worth. And so like maybe, with that size, whatever else you can have Gobert. But I just think like offensively, like that makes it harder to operate now. Like with Gobert there, like I don't even know who the fucking point guard is right now.
Yeah, because they just got rid of Beverly. It's D'Angelo Russell.
It's D'Lo, but like they're gonna try and get rid of him. They've been trying to get rid of him. So like for me, it's like, okay, so I feel like there's no pathway to there's no pathway now. And obviously, you say, well, maybe there wasn't no pathway to begin with, but it's like Now there's really no pathway. And now you're already looking at like, all right, the clock is ticking. The clock is ticking in year 2. In year 2. Going into year 3.
You can bank on, and it's an untraditional way to think about it. I realize that if you don't have all this draft capital, somebody does, and somebody's willing to sell it. And then some of that draft capital is not going to get sold for 100 cents on the dollar.
Yeah.
There's always the Wolves, there's the Rockets, that you can kind of pillage them if you need.
Yeah, but that's how you're going to get it, though. You're going to get it out of Karl Anthony Towns in like 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
But like, why would Anthony Edwards want to play on a team where he has to go through now at this point, like this would be like basically like that would be like the third version of the team he's already on, and it's for that be like year 4, 5, 6 for him. Like I can already see like it getting ugly. And like for me, it's just like you had somebody. It reminds me of. Like, I'm trying to think, who was a star that they saw someone that was really great and then they immediately, Anthony Davis in New Orleans, right?
Mm-hmm.
They saw that he was going to be really good, and then what did they immediately do? They were like, let's bring Rondo in, DeMarcus Cousins, we always had Drew, and it's like, let's pay vets and like, fuck up our cap sheet and try to be very good, no one takes like that the OKC Thunder tack with Durant. Like it was like we're gonna suck for like 2 or 3 years, and then like it'll be on after that. But like just hold on. Like let's not rush ourselves to be so fucking good that we're going to screw up and mess up our window and be too good to ever like get somebody in close a little bit younger than him that can also like grow as a team. Like OKC did it perfectly well up until the part where they traded James Harden, right? So bear with me. Like I'm not saying he's the best player in the world because Presti like had this brilliant plan and it was working until he made sure it absolutely did not, and that was probably from from ownership, whatever. But it's like that plan. How come no one wants to do this plan? We seen it work. We seen it. It was in the finals. It's so weird to me. There's like we got a great star. We have a
not only
star.
let's
immediately go too fast. It happened with LeBron too. When they were giving Shaq and Antoine James all that money too.
Not only will Lightning have to strike once, Lightning will have to strike 3 times for that to happen.
Yes, MVPs. Yes, I get that. It doesn't have to be 3 fucking MVPs in back-to-back drafts. You get my point.
Like Serge Ibaka,
and Reggie Jackson, and there was also another player. It was Reggie Jackson, but I just think that it's like you don't have to skip the steps. You didn't have to do this. And it's like I'm already cringing thinking of like. Who knows if Kevin Durant ends up on the Suns? But if he does, like, how many fucking times did we see those Jazz series where like James Harden and Chris Paul are just singling out Gobert and put him in fucking space and putting him in jail and torturing this man over and over and over, put him in the fucking gulag. And it's like, I can't believe these 4 draft picks on this shit. And like when it happens in the playoffs, it'll be like, we told you, dumbasses. We told you. This was dumb.
I can't really like kill them too much just because
they're trying to win. They're trying to win.
Look, they're trying to win. Like,
but much like the Liv Morgan thing we'll get to, how much winning is really being actually done? You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm concerned about. An exceptional segment.
That's what I'm concerned about. Is there real winning being done, or just like satisfying this fan base who's been fucking tortured for 30 years? Or 25 years. So it's 30, actually.
Look, they're trying to sell tickets.
So on the other end, let's talk about the Jazz. They in perfect position. Like, they get the rebuild, they sign Gobert to that terrible contract.
They let Joe Ingles walk.
Yeah, Ingles is gone. Ingles, I forgot where he went, but he's somewhere. That's right. And he has a knee injury, so he's not gonna play until later in the year anyway. But it traded O'Neal off too, and it's like, okay, they signed that terrible contract, then they got 4 draft picks back for him, for Gobert, and then they still have Donovan Mitchell, and then if like Donovan Mitchell wants to stick around, or if he doesn't, whatever happens, if he wants to be a Knick, like they've been talking about how he wants to be a Knick for a couple years now at this point, they can get that draft pick. It's the Knicks drafts. It's the Knicks draft. They have the Timberwolves draft, the Knicks draft. I would love to have that. So, like, they get to rebuild and do whatever they want to. They get to join the list of teams with a war chest for now with OKC and with the Rockets. And I think though, you know, depending on whatever happens with Donovan Mitchell, if he stays or whatever else, they could be good in like 2-3 years again.
It's just a lot of ifs, you know. And
but yes, but there are certain people that I'm just willing to say like they're not just going to fuck up all these draft picks. Like, yeah, drafting is an inexact science, all that kind of stuff, but like that high in the draft, it's hard to fuck up, really. Or not hard to fuck up, but it's like you got a deep draft or whatever else. I mean, at this point, it seems like every other year or we have a deep draft, right? Like last year's draft, whatever else. So for me, it's like they'll do fine. They'll still have money to go get, you know. If
Donovan Mitchell ends up on Miami Heat, I want an investigation opened
into Dwayne Wade.
Yes.
When they have to trade Bam to get him.
I think because of that weird rule.
Yeah, that's basically like that we don't want players linking up rule. Yeah, that's there's no way that CBA rule exists before 2011. There's no way. Yeah. That's one of those like we're having this player or this work stoppage, we're adding this in because LeBron went to Miami. That's got to be a new development in the decade. But yeah, I think that, you know, I don't think that the rebuild thing is like such a disaster compared to like how it was like back when we were younger, where it's like if, you know, your star player leaves and it's like, well, you're fighting until Dwight Howard shows up. I just don't think it's like that anymore. I just don't. So like, you know, the Jazz, they you know, like saying the same thing with the Nets, with you about to my cousin Alex about like the Nets thing is like, man, blow it up. You want to go through this where you're not actually going to ever win and go through this Kyrie hassle and like people talking about like, wow, Durant's one of the 10, 15 greatest basketball players of all time, and like you got nothing out of 5, 6 years with him, 7 years with him. Blow it up, start over, trade both of them off, start over, get your draft back plus out of those two.
Zekumaki, appreciate the subscription.
But anyway, I mean, so what do you, like? Are you with on my end where it's like these things aren't as difficult as they used to be with rebuilds, or are you still hesitant to that?
No, like I do think people want to. Like, I think people are remembering, or they're not remembering that these are actual people enough for my liking. Like it's like, yo, we're just trade you for, you know, these imaginary people or whatever, and everyone wants to be the next Sam Presti or the next Hinkie. Danny Ainge or Hinkie or try to run some scam like they were doing in Philadelphia. And it's like,
it's Jerry Krauseism.
Like that shit has real effects like on players, on culture, on like, you know, if all these people, like you don't see these people as people and everything's an asset. It's just like, I don't know how like you look at the teams like Phoenix, Golden State, Milwaukee, Celtics, and it's like they're keeping these teams together and bringing them along and making smart. Well, they're figuring it out, yeah. Like for you know, Milwaukee's been together a while. Golden State's been together for a decade, damn near. But like, and it's like, I just think people are falling in love too much with the idea of we can just make it all up in this random, you know, lottery, essentially. And it's like, A, all y'all ain't that good at drafting.
That's true.
And B, like, your organizational history just, there's nothing that shows that you are capable of doing this. And either you're in a bad location like Utah or or something like that. And it's like,
if you're in Utah, you got like, but that's the thing, like going into it. If you're in
that's
Utah,
why I don't fault Minnesota for doing it. I'm like, you're never going to get a free agent anyway.
Yeah, but but my thing is like, if you're in Utah or Minnesota or Indiana, like, going into it, you're going to have to hit on the draft. If not, you're fucked, period. So, like, like when you land, or Sacramento, like when they land Tyrese Halliburton and he's like one of the 3 best players in his draft, and then they fucking trade him for Sabonis. Not to say Sabonis not a good player, because he is. It's like, well, then what the fuck? Like, when's the next time you're going to get somebody as good as Sabonis? Because the last time, as good as Halliburton in the draft, because the last time you did that, it was Marcus Cousins, and you didn't want to give him the max. You let him walk.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that, like, DeMarcus didn't have his own issues, but it's like, dude, 28-11? 28-11? Okay.
They dodged a bullet on that one because he fell apart.
He tore his Achilles, and he's big.
I know.
Yeah, I don't really hold that against saying they dodged a bullet on that one, because who knows what happened. Yeah.
But yeah, and then my Lakers are just, there's just a lot going on,
So, are you so for you, what do you want them to do? Do you want, like, if they had the possibility, because, there's word on whether or not there's a trade will happen, or if it's going to happen, and then, like, a pick being involved, and then want to hold on to a pick, and then make a money match, because Westbrook makes more money than Kyrie, and then, like, the idea of taking on more salary, or whatever else. Like, in an ideal world, what would you want to happen? What would you want to happen as far as this year's Lakers and going into the next offseason?
I want no parts of Kyrie Irving under any circumstance.
Even if that means running this team back.
Correct.
Okay.
And it's just like, I don't know, as I was telling Alex, I was like, I don't know how we can be sure of anything with him. Like,
but he's like Sting. The only thing for certain with Sting is nothing certain.
That's correct. Like, I don't know. Like, I've like flipped up on Kyrie over the year. I was a huge defender of his, and then it's just like these situations just keep adding up, and it doesn't look like it's going to go in reverse as he ages. Like, he's going to get more like single-minded in what he wants to do, and like, his way, like, that's not going to change or anything like that.
If he wants to stay in the league, it will.
Yeah. And then, but at that point, will it be worth it to, like, as far as, like, when his decline sets in or whatever? And it's a 1-year rental anyway. I'm like, just run this team back, try to be healthy, try to get Davis on the court, and then, like, figure it out from there, tinker with the team from there, and then just run, try to get Russ to come off the bench or something. Like, if it gets to that, I don't think that'll happen. Like, I think Russ would actually play better this year than he did last year, because that's another year together, and, they'll probably know what went wrong. They got a new coach in there to say, hey, I can point out some stuff that y'all wasn't looking at.
I think they'll be better defensively, as a fact they switched out some older bodies for younger bodies, so they'll be more spry that way. Like, I mean, they were a mess. Like, they weren't good on offense or defense. Like, they were good at nothing last year.
No Kyrie for me. At one time I would have rejoiced at Kyrie becoming a Laker, but
bro, remember when 2019. And, like, they had the cap space, and, like, there was ideas of, like, the Lakers might actually, like, with the Anthony Davis trade, like, they could be trying to get, like, Kyrie or Kawhi to do this whole thing. I remember when we were talking about this, we were like, who you prefer? Like, I think it was Kyrie and reunite the Cleveland thing with AD or whatever. So do you want fun guy Kawhi? I mean, we were joking. We were like, you wanted fun guy Kawhi. And now it's like, the idea of those three together is tempting, but it's like, you can't trust it. You can't trust it
at all. Like, Davis and Kyrie would be a fucking mash unit. Like,
it absolutely could be. And then once it happens, people be like, well, what do you think was going to happen?
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, that was a good NBA talk.
Yeah.
We got a lot of people showing up as we've done the NBA discussion here on the Twitch chat. If you guys are in the chat, make sure you guys are showing love to us as normal.
40 minutes talking about this. I didn't even realize.
Look at that. Look at that. So we're going to start with Blood and Guts.
Yeah, let's
I think that was the biggest thing of last week. And of course, there was a WWE pay-per-view. Then there was a Stardom pay-per-view. Or
there was not a Stardom pay-per-view. It was a
there was a
it's basically a TV.
Yeah. So Blood and Guts. So let's get to it, man. They were in Detroit, Michigan, Little Caesars Arena. Looked great on TV. Huge 2 rings in there. That was really cool to see that visual. We opened up with Orange Cassidy taking on Ethan Page. Kind of a strange opener here. Orange Cassidy comes out with his new music from Jefferson Starship. Jane, I guess that's the music he was using on the independent circuit, and when he started getting over with his gimmick, that's what he was using. Of course, he's been using "Where's My Mind" from the Pixies the last couple of years. Personally, I'm a Pixies. A lot of people debate has broken out about this, which they preferred, or some people saying Jane is just awesome, it's just great, all this stuff. I'm like, I've never heard that shit. I don't care. That shit was 50 years ago. I don't know who Jefferson Starship is. Sorry. But I just felt like...
But you know what the Pixies are?
I did not either.
Yeah.
It grew on me. It felt like I saw the music video and I thought about Orange Cassidy and I was like, this fits. Like I understand it. Like it's just this mindless guy essentially that's plugged into his own world and then is kind of just like just going through the motions or whatever, right? But then Jane's like, it's up tempo, it's exciting, it's whatever. But I'm like, I don't know. I kind of like the laid back Orange Cassidy personally. I'm
fine with either. I mean, I think if you ask me which song in a vacuum I like more, I like Jane more. As far as for the character, I never really thought about it. Just to me, like whatever. Like they're both fine.
So Bruce says he prefers Jane because he's old.
I mean, it definitely fits in that 70s rock vibe, and thinking of what he got it from, like his gimmick from that Paul Rudd character. Like I can see that, and quite frankly, nowadays with the Guardians of the Galaxy and how popular it is, that's definitely something that would have been on a Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Soundtrack, so whatever, but I saw people, it wasn't, I think it was a Floyd, this was he hates it, and I was like, I wouldn't say hate, or I don't know why you would hate this song. I think it's fine, but I also thought the Pixie song was fine. The changes seemed like it's the sake of change, right, as opposed to any real reason. I was good with either one.
Sam says he loves the classic rock while he likes both. Jane has more of an arena vibe. Bill's Mafia says Jane will grow on people. Fred from Mars, first time I remember seeing him, may have been here before. He said the Jane song is from the character that dresses like OC in White Hot American Summer. It's the juxtaposition.
Paul Rudd.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. He has a match with Ethan Page, and it's kind of television match, and they're doing lots of kind of cute stuff in the match, and I think this is as great as the Will Ospreay match was for Orange Cassidy. I think him showing this stuff was he's a master television worker, and we already kind of knew that about him, right? But it's just doing the stuff, the working the crowd, taking advantage of the opponent, dealing with the manager on the outside. It was just all this stuff he was doing that was really impressive.
Okay, I thought it was a good match. I enjoyed the part where he's in Detroit and he's in a match where he's against a guy that's way bigger than him, and he keeps calling for the body slam, and he can't get the body slam, and then he kills for the body slam again, and he can't get the body slam, and then he can't at the end. And then by the end, when he finally thwarts what's his name? American Top Team right now, Lambert. Once he thwarts Lambert or whatever else, then he gets a spot over on Page, on Ethan Page, and then he finally gets it. He gets the big body slam and then gets the win. I was like, yeah, man, this man just packed up Hogan Andre WrestleMania 3, and I thought it was fucking hilarious that this man's in Detroit doing this. I thought it was just great. I don't know if that was the actual intention, but that's what I picked up
that
from
had to
it.
be it. Yeah.
I hope so. I hope I'm that in tune with what's going on, because I thought it was fucking hilarious when he kept trying to go for this body slam over this dude is way bigger than him.
After that, we had Christian out. He was told by management to come out and apologize for his comments last week, especially about Jungle Boy's father. Christian said, "Jungle Boy, I'm sorry that your entire family isn't dead."
This man said this in a turtleneck. This man is out here dressed like sophisticated LeBron saying this shit. It was fucking hilarious.
Right. Then he says he corrected himself and say everyone except Jungle Boy's mother, because he wants
sex.
Yeah, exactly. So Christian says the only thing good about Detroit is that it's close to Canada.
I popped when he said that.
He said he might have requested a match for this week, but it's not for him. And it was for Luchasaurus, who came out all black, kind of
Oscurosaurus.
All black mask, all black gear. I thought Kane was in the building. New music.
They had him working. They had him work generic like Kane too.
They had him going there with Serpentico, and then
Serpentico almost wet himself.
Yeah, he got destroyed in under a minute. They had him doing a nerve hold snare trap, and he got the win. After that, Christian told Luchasaurus to continue, and he hit him with a choke slam. So after that, we had a face to face with Scorpio.
No. He choke slammed him on the floor. It looked bad. It looked bad. It like that shit hurt.
Yeah, floor bumps. Those are always fun.
Yeah, we'll get to floor bumps in a second. Later in the show. My God.
Scorpio Sky and Warlord, they were backstage, face to face. Sky said he was the champ for a reason. He has the purple and gold Lakers belt with him. And Warlord's basically said, he doesn't care about American Top Scene. He'll beat everyone's ass, and he's going to take home the title. And Scorpio Sky challenged him to a street fight, and immediately my Goldberg versus Raven, flashback meter started going off for the U.S. title.
Really?
Immediately.
So you have to remind me of that. What exactly was that situation? Didn't Goldberg thwart the whole entire flock, and then
yes? Okay. I suggest everyone that listens to this podcast watch that once a year. And see that crowd going fucking insane. So it was Raven won the U.S. title from DDP on Spring Stampede on Sunday. Monday, he has the defense against Goldberg, and they set it up like a weekend. It wasn't this long storyline or anything, kind of like this one is. But they pull up. This man goes through Lodi, Sick Boy, Kidman, Reese, the 7-footer with the stop sign, all that shit, and murders all these fucking jabronis on the way to getting Raven out of there, and the crowd goes nuts. And that pretty much, cements Goldberg with the mid-card belt, and that'll probably do the same for Wardlow. I feel like all the American Top Team geeks would be there, security's there. He's gonna kick everyone's ass.
Okay. I'm sold. If that's what they do, I'm sold.
After that, we had Max Caster and the Gun Club taking on Danhausen and Mystery Partners, and it turned out to be FTR. So FTR came out, huge reception for these guys here.
They're big in Middle America.
So they came out there, and it was, Austin and Cash in the beginning, and then Danhausen got in and did some stuff, and they were beating on Danhausen for what seemed like forever. And after that, they had Billy distract the official. Anthony Bowens rises up out the wheelchair, revealing that he's healed. Danhausen avoids a crutch, and, he strikes Austin with it. And Danhausen covers him for the win. After the match, Austin basically shoved Bowens, but Billy sided with the Acclaimed and shoved his son back, kind of furthering whatever they have going on there. It looks like the Acclaimed are on the road to babyfacedom, and it's kind of been, if you guys have been paying attention, it seems like that's kind of where it's headed. And Max actually released the Acclaim theme song like he said he never would while he was a bad guy. The moment it looks like he's going to be a babyface, he's putting the song out. So I imagine that there's going to be people, and he's basically puts it out, it has the hook on there, and then it's just instrumental or whatever. I imagine that there are going to be people doing their own raps to these beats, or to that beat out there, and putting up videos if it hasn't already started. And dissing wrestlers, like they gonna pack somebody up just randomly. Like the way Shotzi was getting banged on, I wouldn't be shocked if Shotzi had someone that made one about her over this joint. So all wrestlers, be careful. People may come for you. Any thoughts on this match, James?
No, I don't mean in a dismissive way. I don't have any thoughts though, but like
the Acclaim challenge, yes,
yeah. Like I hope I don't know anyone that does the Acclaim challenge. That beat is not nothing you actually really want to rap on. Nah.
Yeah, I wouldn't pick it myself.
Yeah,
let's just say that.
Yeah. So if you know. I'm
like,
already cringing. I'm already cringing at the idea of like me thinking about who was going to do the Acclaim challenge, and like, oh man, there's gonna be a lot of people that don't actually listen to rap. A lot of them that don't actually listen to rap.
Yeah,
possibly, absolute Ricky Starks. Yeah, well, I guess we can move on.
So they had Lethal, Sanjay, and Saddam Singh cut a promo. Basically, they demanded Joe to sign the contract to defend the ROA's title at the Death Before Dishonor show. And Saddam Singh jumps in there and says, "Jay's gonna kill you." Pulls him in close, and he's just so fucking huge, yo. like they're doing this fucking this funny thing with him where they are blowing him up to like 50x size on the graphics. Like they're just making him absurd, like comically bigger than everybody else on the graphics too, which is like, they get it. TBS title, Jade Cargill faces Layla Gray. We've seen Layla Gray a couple times from this show. James, are you familiar with Layla Gray?
I had confused her with someone else, and then you quickly corrected me, and I was like, oh, I could see why I made that mistake. But yeah, I have seen her before, yeah.
Yeah. Short match. Jade got her out of there, pump kick, and they hit Jaded. After the match, Stokely was going to talk. I did see that, Diogo. Max Caster was engaging, like they chopped up some Jim Cornette podcast audio and put it over the beat and like made it rhyme. It was actually pretty funny. And then Fred from Mars says people are going to be dropping way off beat entries like Frank Kazarian. Yes, they will be. So Stokely was going to talk, but Jay grabbed the mic. Yeah. Says she was tired of everyone in the bag bitching and moaning, wants real competition. She said the only person that stepped up didn't even work for AEW. He called Athena lazy. Athena and Statlander ran out and attacked Jade and Kiera Hogan, but then Layla Gray surprised them by stopping, Athena from hitting her finish, pushing her off the rope. And it was almost like, what is this? Is this like the Nasty Boys trying to like bring the cake out for Hogan and then getting like whooped anyway? Like I didn't get this part. But if Layla Gray is going to be a baddie, I think she fits the bill. Did she get jumped in on this, James, or was this like, was Jade in on this too? It was like, hey, this is how we gonna make it look. I think Stokely was in on it, but Jade wasn't, and she will later be either cool with it or that's her pathway to escape from Stokely when it's time to turn face, in much similar fashion we talk about with Kenny Omega and Down Callis, where it's like they'll use the evil manager to get away and say that this wasn't all me and blah 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 blah. But it's not exactly one for one thing, but it reminded me of like when Indy Hartwell like ended up like joining the Way. Like when it was like she was helping Candice from getting eliminated from Women's Battle Royal, and she sent this video saying, "Look at me helping you," and then
and then they added her in. So it could be a situation where it's like, who knows? But like once it presented itself, Soulja was with it, and Jay wasn't really. But maybe she'll come around. Who knows?
So they showed the Bucks backstage. They were talking about being all their friends being injured, being alone, some interesting stuff going on. If you guys are following BCE, check it out.
You got to fill me in. I've heard some things, but
so I didn't catch it yet either.
Okay.
I meant to watch it, but it's like the elite storyline, like that we've all talked about. It's like the path to the long reunion, like. Looks like it could be back in effect. So this one time before Matt was going to text Hangman to squash it. I don't know if it was last summer or it was around that time when they beat his ass to kick him off TV. It was kind of around that same time, I think.
So last summer.
And he pulled up the same message this week to send to Hangman, but he didn't end up sending it again. Like something happened. Like I didn't see the whole thing yet, but the same.
So they don't watch. So they don't watch the show.
Who?
Hangman or the Young Bucks?
No, they don't watch the show.
Oh, okay.
They live the show. They are the show.
Okay, this was just trying to make sure if they're doing the like inner circle or not. I didn't know. So okay.
Yeah. But they're talking about, maybe some type of reconciliation. We'll see where that's going. But then they lay out. Okay.
What are the odds that the Young Bucks and Hangman, they get back together, and then like this then brings Kenny back, and then Kenny, like, because remember when he left, he didn't see what happened in the match with Hangman, with like Matt Jackson basically saying, okay, go beat him. Like, we don't know how Kenny Omega's going to react to that. And he also had like, kind of a sharp goodbye to Adam Cole when he left. Like, what? So it left it up to the air for like whenever he came, how are you going to deploy Omega when he came back? So it's like, if they're planning that, then it's like there's a good possibility that it's like, hey, like Kenny Omega comes back and it's like, oh, okay, well, fuck y'all, and then like he just like sides with like Undisputed.
Something.
Like, I don't think it's going to be just a magical, like, everybody's all happy when they come back. Like, they're all, they're going to come back and there's going to be turmoil. That's how this works.
I feel like, bro, I don't feel like they're fully back together till like 2 years from now.
Yeah, that's what I imagine too.
Yeah, so
or like something, or in the future, yeah.
They've got a long way to go.
Well, actually, I don't think they'll all be back until like 3 years from now. Maybe even 5, depending on, when Cody comes back.
So Sir Sam says, bring back the Good Brothers. Diogo says, I hope they do the reunion after the Bucks lose to FTR so they don't fuck with the face heel dynamics. Yeah, I don't know. Bucks and FTR are kind of in their own, I think, universe for that. I don't know if that necessarily would interfere, but I think people want FTR to beat them really, 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 really badly.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Me, right?
No, the return of the Dangly.
I hate it here. I really do. I get fucking trolled by people out there in the middle of trying to do a fucking show. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, why? And you encourage the shit. You have the big Dangly. You don't get the fuck out of here. Let's continue with the show, man.
Diogo says, when Kenny comes back, do you think they'll add Takeshita into the Elite storyline? He has already teamed up with the Elite once, or a few times, actually. I don't know if he'll be like, hey, this is this other member that's kind of moonlighting in the group. I don't think it's going to be that, but I think Kenny and Takeshita will have a match.
Okay.
That's about it.
I thought you were going to say maybe he wouldn't. I was going to ask you, will he get a cut of the merch?
Gotta ask Kikuchi on that one.
Can you fucking imagine? Yeah, you're part of this thing. It's making shit ton of money. Yeah, no. You're not gonna give you none of that. No,
Not for you. Not for you. You know.
You mean it's unethical not to? Who would have thought?
Yes, Brewhaven. I did see the Matt Menard promo. I'll talk about it after Blood and Guts, but it was phenomenal. But the Bucks, they said basically they said Hiroki Goto and Yoshihashi were here. Excuse me, Goto and Yoshihashi wanted a shot at their tag team titles, but they set up an eliminator match for Rampage. So they announced Rampage. There's the Royal Rampage 20-man battle royal for the interim AEW World Title match. Tony Storm versus Nyla Rose ended up being the main event, and Young Bucks versus Chaos. Then they brought Jim Ross out as they lowered the cage. See Jim Ross starting to get less and less work to do.
See, you said they brought out Jim Ross as a lord. I already say they lowered their standards, but go ahead. Continue. Yes. War Games, I'm sorry, Blood and Guts it is.
James,
you want to go through this whole match, or what do you want to do? What do you want to do?
This is the Blackpool Combat Club with John Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, and Wheeler Yuta, Eddie Kingston, Santana, and Ortiz. They defeated the Jericho Appreciation Society. That's Jericho, Guevara, Hager, Garcia, Matt Menard, and Angelo Parker. And these guys came out in the red. They all look. Some of them look like various degrees of they may have been slanging cock. But they, at
least on the stage,
they were in there looking absurd. It was fitting that they wore all that red because they were bleeding quite well.
At first, I didn't understand if like they recognized that like them wearing red also like makes it harder to see the contrast of the red coming out of their skin, because it's like I know somebody's gonna bleed in this thing. But it didn't work out as bad as I thought it was going to be. So it ended up, they're still able to, gush around with their faces and their foreheads and do all the nasty things they do as pro wrestlers. Think about that with pro wrestling. Yeah, there's going to be a cage match, so one of us has to like grab a razor blade and then run it across our forehead so we give the appearance that we're bleeding in here, as opposed to like, we're scraping our face and skin against this cage and it fucking hurts. Like, it's so wild what these dudes do to entertain us. It really is.
Yeah. Okay. Thoughts on the match. I thought I saw a lot of people on Twitter that were a lot higher on this match than I was, without talking about, like, I don't know what to necessarily even rate it. I'll say this. That during that taping, I liked the Young Bucks versus Chaos more than Blood and Guts, and I know that might sound absurd to some people, right?
I definitely will rather watch that again because this is a time commitment, right? Just a time commitment alone. Yeah. Okay, so this is how I did it, right?
I felt like a lot of this match was just happening.
Yes, and also we'll take into account that, like, who knows what got fucked up because of Santana's injury early.
That also, yes.
So, for me, I remember a lot of last year, when we were talking about last year's Blood and Guts with with Inner Circle versus the Pinnacle, and, like, it started very strong, and then about the time where they got to the Wardlow Hager thing is when it kind of just died off, or lost steam. That's a better way to put it. And then they left the cage and was like, why the fuck are you leaving the cage? Like, if y'all need to leave the cage, then take the fucking cage, take the top of the cage off. I'm not even getting to the part where he did it again. Thanks, Jericho. But, yeah. So, like my thing with Blood and Guts and War Games are all the same. Like, I have the same thing where it's like, y'all gotta give me some stakes, whatever. My complaints. I had complaints every fucking year they do War Games. Every year they done Blood and Guts ever since NXT brought the shit back, however many years ago, 5 years ago, whatever. Like, if you listen to the show as a broken record, like, it's a long match that's meant to only go, that's going to go a half hour regardless, and can't nobody win until after a half hour, so you're basically sitting there watching nothing, or you're not watching anything, but you're watching people beat the shit out of each other for effectively nothing. And then you go from the part where then you get the surrender part, or you can go to a pinfall or submission, whatever, what have you, depending on it's a War Games or Blood and Guts. I said I wasn't gonna get into it, and I've gotten into it. Spent too much time on this shit. Last year, I gave the match, the Pinnacle match, 4 stars, because I really enjoyed the beginning of it. And I liked the choice that Guevara had to make, and then the post-match thing where MJF still fucks him over. I liked it, but, just for the hour long, it was like 4-star match for an hour-long match, that seems appropriate. I like this year's match better. I think that their choice of when to go to commercial break during some of the stuff was a poor decision. I think the coolest stuff was like the thumbtacks and alcohol stuff that was going on with Jericho and Moxley that was during the commercial break, but I'm sitting there watching it picture in picture. It was that compelling. I'm still watching it picture in picture. I like the idea that this is over between Kingston and Jericho because quite frankly, I don't want it to be over with Kingston and Jericho. So they got, Claudio the win over one of the 2.0 guys, and it could continue. So I'm, from that perspective, I thought it was a neat finish against Claudio win as a, and you get to see how Kingston reacts.
That was the most compelling part. I think what I learned in this match was I really only cared about seeing Kingston get to Jericho.
Okay.
And a lot of this. And it was like...
But it's definitely a part of it. That's why they saved both of them for last.
Yeah. And I think the Blackpool Combat Club they're so overpowered. It was almost like they weren't down a man the whole time.
There was one point where they were down a man, they just whooped their asses anyway.
Yeah, they were down a man, and then the heels are getting in, and then they're just running scared from them. And I'm just throwing my hands up all right, here we go. And it's just when I watch War Games, I want the
natural flow of it. It's even, and then the heel comes in, whoops their asses, and then, starts to rally, and then back and forth. Yeah.
And so when it was they were up so much, it was just all right, they're up by 20. What we really watching here? But I think it recovered after that or whatever, because there was a point where I kind of just fell out.
By the time they got Jericho back, it was back to normal.
Yeah. I had fell out of it, but then, got back to it. But it was funny seeing Claudio just destroy Sammy and Daniel Garcia together at once. I thought Moxley, he was using the skewers and shit. They were,
he's in fucking nuts. Japan and shit. Freedoms, sicko.
But some of the storytelling stuff I think was the actual strongest stuff. You mentioned seeing Kingston just, I don't know if he was pissed, dejected, just felt sorry. I didn't know what it was, jealous. There was just there's a lot of different ways he was reacting.
It was all that. And I thought that I think the thing that was smart about it was that he didn't linger on it the whole entire celebration, because then it would have been all right, man, relax. But the disappointment of I went through all this stuff, I almost set a innocent on fire to try to murder this dude or whatever else, and I didn't get my moment, and it's bittersweet. And yeah, I am disappointed, but I'm gonna celebrate even with this guy that I don't rock with. And they celebrate on top of the cage. I thought it was cool. I thought it was a nice touch of them being able to celebrate. You get to see the actual celebration as opposed to seeing it on a camera phone after it went dark or whatever else. So that was cool. And it was able to rebound off the part where if that just had ended or whatever else, you just see Kingston with the fucking sourpuss face on the whole time, be God, what an asshole. So he's able to, that gave him more dimensions to me. So I actually liked that part. And I think the post-match thing did him, it made him feel like a full-out flesh-out person that has emotion, that has emotions of a full-on human of I really wanted this, it didn't work out. Not only did I want to win, I wanted to win in a particular way. It didn't go the way I wanted it to, but it's not over.
Yeah.
So I thought it was cool. For me, compared to last year's, I like this one's more than last year. So I don't know if I give it I don't know. At first I was well, maybe give it 4 1/4, but I thought to myself I'll probably give it the same rating, but just think it's better.
I think I'm with you on that.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to be 4 flat stars and call it a day.
Like, I felt like this match, like, kind of just, it flowed. Like, there weren't as many down periods, I think. But, like, it never took that, like, that jump. Like, when Sammy was going fucking insane in the beginning of last year's match where they were, I'm glad they didn't do the West Side Story face-off spot. I'm cool.
They did it last year.
Yeah, I'm
and it was funny because going into it, people were like, "You're not going to do this shit like how they do it in NXT." And then first fucking match they do it, I was like, "Shut up!"
Good, remove that shit, get that shit out of here. But they had Sammy go off the cage this time. Yeah. That was Sammy will fall some shit that like nothing. Like,
all right? Is it time to talk about what he fell through?
He fell through, it looks like a double-decker of tables with a blanket on top of it.
Bro, they tried to play us like that was the normal announce table. I was like, ain't no fucking... I laughed
still
so hard.
Still a long way down, though.
You're right. I'm not saying they should have thrown him through this one table, y'all. I'm not saying
it would have been even
he would have died. He would have died. Because, like, you gotta think, like, I don't even know if, like, most times when we see that scorekeeper say would get blown up or crashed into, I think for, like, sometimes it's not even actually underneath, like, matting. Sometimes it's underexposed concrete. So it's like, no, I'm not advocating the same way that I'm not advocating that Jericho had just fell and died to his death last year in Blood and Guts. That I'm not saying that should happen, but I'm saying, like, there are go-betweens. Like, I remember, like, Hell in a Cell, the Hell in a Cell match with Undertaker and Shane. Like, they put, like, that crash pad thing for the announce table that he crashed through. Like, there's something, or maybe they weren't comfortable enough with it because he's also doing a bit of a flip on the dive, whatever else. I don't know, but, like, I don't think the answer is double stacked tables on top of each other. That was too obvious to someone. Like, you may as well have put a bullseye on that fucking thing that they're going to get out. If I was there, I'd have been like, okay, somebody's definitely, because they did a good job of never showing that table.
I didn't see it until the fall.
I didn't see it until they zoomed out the picture. I was like, look at this. Oh my God. I was like, I started laughing before he even fell through the thing. I started laughing. But, like, if I was in a building, I'd have been like, oh, you may as well have just put a fucking big bullseye saying they're getting out. Not only are they getting out of the cage, someone's doing a bump off the cage. So I don't know how that, if that did any affected anyone's, like, reaction during the match. Because, like, it could have negatively affected knowing they're like, oh, they're going to get out of the cage and then someone's going to...
I think you would have to be in the arena. Well, you have to get someone from the arena to tell you if that's what they thought was going down.
I have to ask that question. Black Sabre Jr. went, so we could ask him, I guess.
Speaking of that, I hear there was somebody in the crowd from Black Sabre Jr. He said there was somebody with a One Nation Radio shirt on at Blood and Guts. If this is if that was you, jump into Discord, jump on Twitter. I just want to know who you are. If you showed up, appreciate you showing love.
Yeah, that's cool. But either way, like, Sammy likes doing these spots. Like, at this point, it's just something he
remember
likes.
The One Wing Angel?
Right, that's what I'm getting at. Like, he has a history of wanting to do this crazy shit.
Fun times.
Like, this is a dude that say, hey, I want MJF to give me a super power driver off the middle rope, and I'm going to continue wrestling. I want to do a 450. I want to do a 450 off the top of the step, off top of the ropes, and then, like, Darby may or may not be, like, on the ladder bridge.
Or a table.
Yeah, like, he's out of his fucking mind. He's out of his mind.
Love him.
Like, I want Scorpio Sky to push me off the top of a ladder, and I fall into a ladder that's, like, behind me, that's like 5 feet below me. Like, he's crazy. Then I'm gonna get it back up and get pushed off. Like, that was just over OD, but whatever. Yeah, he's out of his mind. But what do you want to see after this now? Like, because obviously they're going to continue Kingston in some form with Jericho, but, like, what do you like?
There's got to be some, like, type of, like, some territory type blow off final match. Like, I don't think they can do a last man standing match. I don't know if they'll do a Texas death match.
Why not? Because they've done it before?
I don't know. I'm just kind of working my way through the gimmick to see which one makes the most sense. Like, could they do an I Quit match? Could they do? I just don't know what makes the most sense for them.
Could they do a Yapapai Indian strap match?
Diogo in the comments says the I Quit match. So Sam says a respect match where the guy after it has to say respects the other. Didn't they try that in the beginning?
Roughly, where it's like he said that if you beat me, I'll shake your hand, and I think and then Jericho did, and then he like crossed him and turned heel.
Yeah.
The next show after Revolution.
Yeah, they could do a respect match.
Okay, so the last time I remember, the most famous respect match, the only one I can think of right now is like the shit with Kevin Sullivan and Pillman. And then he goes, I respect you, Booker Man.
Benoit.
I don't remember a Benoit one.
I think it was, you know what? I think you're right.
Yeah, because remember, I respect you, Booker Man. And it was like, what the fuck? I was a kid. I was like, what's going on? It's like, oh, what was a Booker Man? And it's like, oh, great. Like that. Okay. I don't know how that works nowadays. Because it's like, well, just lie to get out of whatever you're in. Because he's Jericho and his slime ball. He can just lie.
I respect you. Kick him in the balls.
Yeah. And it continues on. It's like, we're going to continue this. We're going to do this. We're going to do this chase forever and ever. Like they're fucking Magneto and the Professor X. Like, we're going to do this for decades, Xavier. We'll do this forever, Charles. Like, I don't know. There's got to be something, though. There's no way they're not doing it again.
If you guys have an idea, holla at us on Twitter. Yeah. What do you think the best kind of stipulation match for? So,
and when you say the stipulation, you got to say what territory and what year.
Right.
Like the territory, the match, like the match participants in the year. Yeah.
So we had Rampage also. So that one, we had the Royal Rampage 20-man battle royal. So the people that were in it. There was a lot of people, of course, using both rings. It was kind of like the Royal Rumble and the WCW War Games, or excuse me, the WCW World War III had a baby.
That's why I was calling it World War II the whole time. I was like, I'm like, no one popped at me saying this, so I must have botched like what World War III was.
So this was actually really entertaining for Battle Royal. I kind of like the two rings aspect, kind of left the rings less cluttered. So it was like less like kind of standing around, and there were a lot of like, cool like little matches revisited. Like there was Hangman and Starks, and thinking about to when Hangman dropped Starks on his neck before. They had old problems. They had Darby Allin and Tony Nese starting off in the blue ring. Hobbs and Hangman were in the other ring. And the Butcher and the Blade getting reestablished. They've been getting into it with Swerve and Keith Lee. They're actually going to be having a match next week. And they fucking they had the Butcher killing Darby, of course. They tied it in and mentioned that Darby and the Butcher had a match last year after Butcher had won at the House Always Wins. And Darby had broken the Butcher's hand before. So it's like there's always like these little threads of like stuff they'll just call back to if you're paying attention.
Yeah. They also did a spot where, because they put Swerve in the left, I forgot which was red and blue or whatever else, but they put Swerve in the far right one, and then they put Hobbs, Starks, and Lee in the left, and then
the red ring.
Yeah, and then they jumped Keith Lee, and then Swerve. I didn't like this. I can see why he did it because it's cute, but I didn't like this. Like, Hobbs and Starks jump Lee, and then Swerve is trying to like reach over the ropes over to the other set of ropes to try to like interfere or whatever, but he doesn't just go through the ropes and like help, even though like he wouldn't have lost the match because he just go through the middle ropes. But I was thinking to myself, like, I get why he's doing that, but like the only way it makes it work is if like someone immediately cuts him off and beats him up to stop him from trying to do that, because it makes him like a geek. Because like I'm thinking almost like what would John Moxley do? John Moxley, like if Eddie King was beat up by two assholes, he'd just go through the ropes and help fight, and then it'll turn into a hockey brawl and the crowd got hot. Like, so the only way you get out of that really is, instead of not like a geek, is like someone just cuts you off. And I was like, I don't think it happened. I think he was kind of sitting there kind of like looking like, oh, my friend's getting beat up. And then I think the camera cut away for I saw how it got dissolved or resolved or whatever else. But I was like, okay, whatever. And then one thing I thought at one point that like Darby was going to throw out Swerve as a payback for what happened in the last Battle Royal a few weeks ago, but it didn't happen. But it was funny just thinking like, because he's behind him, I was like, oh, he's going to throw this man out.
Yeah, Swerve, indeed.
Yeah.
But there were more people that were in. John Silver and Hangman had a little part.
That was fucking hilarious.
Yes, they pretended they were going to turn on each other. Max Caster was out. He mentioned something
in and
about
out immediately.
Yeah, he was talking about getting hugs from Tony Khan and just a bunch of other shit. Blade was in there. Pentagon came in. Matt Hardy, Keith Lee, Brody King finally makes his way in. He kind of gets the big entrance. It seems like they're shooting him a little different, and they're like, could they? And then they get back to the match. Butcher and Blade is there. Orange Cassidy then shows up, and it's like, man, this thing, like, bro, all these battle royals, like, just it feels like there's just lots of depth here. So he took his opportunity, like basically swerved Orange Cassidy, threw him out. I love this gimmick for Swerve, like in the battle royals. I'm gonna just catch somebody slipping and just dump them.
You should like almost like have a name tag, and every time you throw someone, I was like, do you forget my name? My name is Swerve.
Yes. Oh my God, Lothero Negro, Kingston Jericho, one final beat, LMAO. No. No. No, sir.
Remember when Jay-Z said it's crazy how one verse will fuck up the game?
Yes.
It's crazy how one bad match will fuck up history.
Indeed. So it came down to like basically the Butcher and the Blade started getting out of there. Lee got thrown out. Cassidy, Swerve, Starks. We're down to Hangman, Brody King, and Darby Allin as the remaining people in the match. Then Page kind of gets caught out on the apron. Brody King eliminates Hangman Page. He goes flying. Then we're down to Brody King and Darby Allin, a former Evolve pre-show match. At one point, I think I saw somebody tweet out.
Wow. And
this is just a really cool matchup because, of course, Brody King's fucking huge, and he eliminates Darby one of the coolest ways kind of possible. He does like a choke. Ironically, it kind of reminded me of Tam and Natsupoi.
Yep.
I didn't know if it was.
I fucking popped when it happened because I was like, that's exactly what it fucking is.
And like dangled him over the ropes, let him drop, and he looked like a huge monster. And then it was, Brody King is getting a shot at Moxley next week. So this is the Moxley beats a big man defense. So
yeah, I mean,
it should be fun.
Yeah. I mean, if they want to make it a Texas death match right now, while they still got time, they could do that and then, kind of make it similar to the Archer, the Archer run.
Yeah.
Hangman. Yeah. Match will be fun. This will be a slugfest.
Yeah.
A slobber knocker, if you will.
Yep. Then we had the AEW Tag Team Championship Eliminator, the Young Bucks versus Hiroki Goto and Yoshihashi. This was excellent. And can Yoshihashi and Goto stay? I'm just going to ask. Why not?
I think they would enjoy it more to stay here for about 6 months.
I know, like, the crowds in Chicago liked them. I don't know.
I think even with the kids, he still might enjoy staying here for like 6 months.
Yeah. He was awesome. They were showing him a lot of respect on commentary. Yoshihashi, they kind of had less things to say about. All they really had to say was he's much improved. He's
a geek. It is what it is. But look, he can go.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. He can go.
look, and he ain't taking no shit. You know, so
the only thing that was missing out this match was they didn't bully him and then he fired up. That was about it. Everything else was pretty much the Yoshihashi experience, because like that's one big thing I like about Yoshihashi is like he's gonna lose his match, but like you gonna give him shit. He start disrespect kicking him. He gonna get up. He gonna start firing back on your ass, and then the crowd gets behind him for a little bit, and then you go from there. But like I enjoy the part where it's like, look, man, you may whoop me, but I ain't no bitch.
Right. So there are nights where I feel like the Young Bucks come out there and score 40 and just like go balls to the wall, blitzkrieg, whatever. Mm-hmm. Tonight, in this match, it felt like they kind of just ran the offense a little bit, and then you looked up and it was like, oh, they got 28. Like
they had a traditional, they had a non Young Bucksian match. They had a normal match. It was like when people say they only wrestle one style, it's like Exhibit 45.
And then like
these aren't one trick ponies. Y'all got to stop.
Towards the end of the match, like Nick started going insane though. Did the BTE trigger. He does like a dive to the other ring where Goto's located. Then he dives back in the other side and he does a ring to ring Meltzer driver. And I was just like, this nigga, he's playing right now. Like don't do this, Nick. Like I was seriously impressed by that. So Bucks get the win. And that was pretty cool. Jonathan Gresham then revealed his match for next week. It was a backstage segment. He said he was the best technical wrestler in the world, and he says he's going to be joining forces with Lee Moriarty, and they're going to be taking on Tully Blanchard's Gates of Agony duo, so Toa Leone and Khan. So two guys that they brought in through Dark. There was an Adam Cole and Khan match on Dark. I want to say,
where is Khan originally from? Impact or Ring of Honor?
Ring of Honor.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, yeah.
So they'll be doing a tag match next week on Rampage. And then we got to the main event. It was Tony Storm and Nyla Rose, and I thought this was pretty fun as well. So they did a little promo in the beginning. Nyla was very entertaining. Makes you wonder why Vicky was with her forever. So she has Marina Shafir kind of watching her back. And I gotta say, I was into Marina Shafir as a manager. She can do just, if it's, hey, deliver one stiff strike here, she can do that.
Have we made her Hager already?
Wouldn't be the worst.
I didn't say it was the worst.
Wouldn't be the worst idea.
I was just asking if that's what is that what we're actually doing. If that's what we're doing, fine. I just want to know what the plan is.
Yep. Zekumaki, first time chat was, he said, probably one of my favorite eliminations ever. They got a taste of that U.S. crowd and came back like addicts. Please let me know what you're referring to on that. But Tony Storm and Nyla Rose had a decent match. I don't think they were afraid to hit each other, which was cool. Always got to preface that there. And let's see. Besides that, Tony Storm got the win. So we were kind of wondering like where she would go in the fallout, but Marina
she got the win. They jumped her. Thunder Rosa came out to even the odds, and then they, raised, and then Thunder Rosa raised her hand, and they seem like they're headed towards a friendship.
Team Thunderstorm, yes. Okay. He was one of his favorite eliminations ever. Brody King getting rid of Darby. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, Team Thunderstorm, of course. I love it. I love it. It's cheesy, whatever. I don't give a fuck.
Thunderstorm.
They're gonna face Shafir and Rose next week, so they'll probably pick up the win there.
Wait, that's actually their name?
Yes, Thunderstorm.
No. Team Thunderstorm, or is it just Thunderstorm?
No, it's just Thunderstorm.
Okay, okay. Thunderstorm's fine. Team Thunderstorm's like, why? Okay, that's much better.
So, but after that was pretty much AEW for the week. Enjoyed both shows. I didn't think they were, like, I don't want people to think I didn't like Blood and Guts, right? Mm-hmm. But it was like, I felt like for long stages of the match, I was just kind of just drifting, and I was like, and I liked the finish. I liked all that stuff. I liked the storytelling of it, but there was just parts of the match I thought didn't make sense. And then I just wasn't into a lot of the early parts of the match. And like I said, I was only really caring about Eddie getting to Jericho, and that kind of just hit me in the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So,
Zach might say, I wonder why they keep trying to show off Shafir. Are they trying to please Roddy?
Nah, I don't think.
I
think. I mean, when I watch her matches are like, what would Ross describe it as? A bowling shoe ugly. But like, there's some stuff in there that I think is nifty when she's in there and looks like physical and looks like a fight. It's just like, but the matches don't like have like none of the matches are like 3-star matches. They're just like, oh, like this is like some 2.25. This is like 2.25, or this is like 2.5, or whatever else. And then like the situation with Rosa, it looked like, well, after the fact, when it came out about the sandbagging thing, but like in the time, it felt like a really physical match, and I enjoyed it. But it's about a taste thing. Like, but I do enjoy like matches that look like that from time to time.
Like, she's not over at all.
She's
right?
not
but,
like it's crickets when she comes out.
But I think there's somebody obviously that sees something in her, right? And if it's like,
I mean, she's an attractive woman with a nice tan and a nice physique, and she wrestles physical.
Yeah, and I think I think there's something there. Like, I don't want to flat just tell her to leave the screen. Now, like, I can't name any of her matches that I really liked per se, but this isn't like just something that's happened out of nowhere. They were trying her out in dark for a while. There's something they're trying to figure out whether she has it or not. And I feel like with a Marina Shafir, you need to see if it will work, right?
The same thing that happened with Ty.
Nothing ruins a perfectly good grocery haul like surprise fees. That's why Kroger has free pickup, so you can get what you need and none of the extra charges you don't. Simply head to the Kroger app and start your cart and enjoy the perks of picking up groceries and household items without hidden fees. Now, the only surprise will just be how amazing that new flavor of ice cream tastes. Kroger, fresh for everyone. $35 order minimum. Restrictions may apply. Subject to availability.
Conti, you never know unless you tried.
Right. And like, it wasn't like she was getting a ton of opportunities before to show, if something was there. So you never know. You might find money. So just to throw her off after like 3 or 4 matches, I wouldn't want to do that personally, but
I think worst case scenario, she goes in Ring of Honor.
Right. So what else we got here? WWE Money in the Bank.
Okay, so this was not a bad pay-per-view. It wasn't. I mean, the highlights are the tag match between the Usos and the New Day. I thought it was a really great match. That if it had went like 5 minutes short, would have actually been a really great match. Instead, it's just a great match. I felt like I felt like they bought too much time trying to get doing the double hot tag spot thing at the beginning of the match. But whatever. Like, once they start letting loose and they pretty much have they just basically started doing super kick, flip dive, or whatever else.
Interesting.
Yeah, once they break into a Young Bucks match. Yes, I get it. Yes, the Young Bucks have. I mean, the Usos have their matches do break into effectively Young Bucks matches or things, or not actually Young Bucks matches, but the critique that people have about Young Bucks matches. Like, those are what Usos matches break down into the really good ones that last like 3 or 4 years. Yeah, maybe even 5.
So, lots of course, there's like the big news coming out of this show. They've got a new women's champion. Liv Morgan won the championship. And man, if you've listened to One Nation Radio, there's been a meme.
She won Money in the Bank first.
I guess we can start there. The opening match. Liv Morgan defeated Alexa Bliss, Asuka, Becky Lynch, Lacey Evans, Raquel Rodriguez, and Shotzi, who has deactivated her Twitter.
Well, she didn't actually. Well, she technically beat these people. She didn't actually whoop them. She just climbed up and grabbed a ladder.
Correct. So
she climbed up a ladder and grabbed the briefcase
after losing, matches going into the show for months and months. And then she unhooks the gimmick, pulls it down, gets a golden ticket, pretty much she hits the lottery essentially. So like, I don't know, James. Like,
hey, you get the 6 numbers, you get the 6 numbers.
Yeah, I guess so.
Or is it 8 numbers? I don't know.
Like she pulls down the gimmick and it's like, man, okay. Crowd goes crazy. Everybody's happy. She blows the finish as she's walking to the ring. She's crying. And I don't like to ever agree with Bully Ray for any reason.
What
really.
did Bully Ray say?
He said she can't stooge off the finish ahead of time like that and look like a mark for the finish. I don't like to agree with Bully Ray.
So how many wrestlers have we seen effectively stooge off finishes before? It's not the end of the world.
Correct. However, when she's coming to the ring with like a face full of tears and not the ones that she drew on herself, I come on now. Come on, Liv. Come on. For what it's worth, the crowd is very happy and behind this woman for whatever reason it is. I've called her the WWE Waka Tsukiyama on Twitter before. And she got her moment in the sun, knocked Becky off the ladder. I thought a lot of people when they were talking about this match, they were saying it was worse than I thought it was. I was like, oh, okay. It was just kind of a standard ladder match. There were a couple bad spots, I think. Shotzi ate shit a few times.
Spots. Yep. But I mean, even if they weren't botches, Shotzi was still going to eat shit in the match. That's why she's out there.
Right.
Botch or not, she's going out there to splat.
And she did a senton on the ladder and landed kind of the upper back neck area. I was like, I would never want to do that. Whatever. Yeah. Raquel Rodriguez came out. She's like just smiling, just like her face is just glued to a smile. Lacey Evans, I was completely confused. She was coming out slapping everyone's hands or whatever, then kind of like working the match like a heel. They were cheering her kind of, but not really. I was like, is this supposed to be some ironic shit? Like, I didn't understand.
I don't think they know what they want to do with her, so they made it into this thing where it can be whatever it wants to be.
Yeah.
They just want to put her on TV because they believe in her.
Alexa, I may have seen her twice in the match. Standard fare. Standard fare for Alexa Bliss.
Right. That's what she does in ladder matches. Get out the fucking way.
Shouts out to everyone keeping the Alexa Bliss rant alive. Just at random times, I'll get a tweet. People clipping up the rant and everything like that. Yeah. So after that, there was just, there's not really much more to say about Liv Morgan won. We'll get to it later. But United States title match up next. Bobby Lashley defeats Theory for the U.S. title. And I got to say something about this crowd. Whatever WWE is doing with these storylines and all this stuff, the people that are at these shows are going fucking crazy for it. They love their dirty draws right now. I can't say I was into that match, but I thought this was a solid, nice, like little mid-card match here. Real basic structure of a small shithead and a big, good guy, essentially. And there were a couple cool spots. I think it was like a dive into like a military press into a power slam, something like that with Theory and Lashley. Whatever it is, I don't know if the crowd just hates Theory that much, but when Bobby Lashley won and held that bitch up, like they were like going nuts. Like this is our champion.
Well, one, Bobby's been hot pretty much ever since he turned face. He's been hot. Remember that they wanted him. Like people want him to, to have the feud with Roman, right? There are a lot of people, or not everybody, but there's a lot of people that want to see him and Roman again, like with this dynamic where he's the face and Roman's the heel. As opposed to them doing the babyface scene they did in 2018, I think. But he's over, and they do not like Theory, and like Theory has, I don't want to say exactly go away heat, but it's not like the good kind of heat. Definitely
is his gimmick that he's like shoot Randy Orton,
kind of, yeah.
Like.
Yeah. Like he gets these opportunities or whatever else, and he's being shoved down your throat, and he gets these opportunities he's not deserving. But the only reason why he gets is because like Vince likes him. Yeah,
Man, shoot Randy Orton, amazing. Maybe he can fail it.
Except he's like 6'1" or 6 foot instead of 6'4".
maybe they can rearrange the wellness policy in Theory's favor or something to really drive that home.
If he gets popped, sure.
But yeah, man, crowd hates him though. Like, yeah. And it's like the crowd hates him, the internet hates him, the smart fans hate him, the dumb fans hate him. I'm kind of just like,
the anti-sex pest people hate him.
Correct. I see him and I'm like, I hate to say it like this. Throw the sex pest stuff aside, right? I think about all the talent that they had from essentially NXT TakeOver Dallas on from in NXT, right? Yeah. I'm thinking about hundreds of wrestlers that they've had, young ones, older ones, middle-aged ones, and I'm like, so the guy that they've like picked to do all this,
the sub 30 guy they decided to actually do something with,
is this nigga?
Yeah, not Tyler Bate. Yeah,
I was like,
or Pete Dunne, who's still under 30. Yeah,
I'm like,
he's
okay.
Bush now. Yeah.
I don't get it.
Neither do I.
That's why,
but I don't watch it, so it don't matter. It don't bother me as much. It don't bother me as much because it's like whatever. Like y'all want to push this sex pest, that's your prerogative.
Yeah. So
I mean, at the top y'all got a sex pest running this fucking thing. So
Yes.
I can see why he sees so much of himself in him.
We had a Raw Women's title match. Bianca Belair and Carmella. This was like Challenger of the Month, Bum of the Month. Bianca Belair is fucking awesome. Really big shoulders, lifting the weights. Bianca is, and Carmella's in there just trying to hold on before that bear mauls you. And Bianca mauled her at the end.
It was a match. You want me to add more?
Yeah.
I've seen Carmella have better matches.
To be nice, yes. Raw and SmackDown title match. The Usos took on the Street Profits, Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford. Of course, Montez has shown up with a new physique that commentary could not stop talking about. I think was...
You know why? They want to push that man now because he's gained 10 pounds. Like, that's all it is. Fucking ridiculous. Does he wrestle any different? No. Is he any more charismatic? No. He just gained 10 pounds of muscle. So it's time to push it. It's time to push it. Put the strap, put the rocket launcher to his back.
I know some people
to his back.
I know some people think Angelo Dawkins is fucked, right? And I think some of the behavior I think people had on Twitter was unbecoming. Essentially,
what happened?
Just like going we understand you may want to see Montez Ford get pushed and all that, and then like all this damn near throwing out UPS is hiring the Dawkins. Like this guy
really
has no talent or
he's
something
fucking
like that.
Good. What are you talking about?
Like I feel like he went into this match and was like, nah, like and every match I see with them, I feel like Angelo Dawkins is working with something to prove. I feel like he's talented.
Seth Rollins no longer does.
He sure is. And it's like he's a good wrestler on his own.
Yes.
He's a good big man. He's a good brawler.
Yes, definitely a good brawler.
And I think people should give him more credit. And I don't say, hey, trust WWE, what they're going to do with him. Because who knows what WWE is going to do with him.
Right.
But just because you like Montez Ford, you don't have to bang on Angelo Dawkins like he's just some J-Brone, because he's not.
Right.
Like when I watch this match,
figure
the better team is the Street Profits.
Yeah.
In 2022.
Well, I think the match was also set up for that, to make them shine more like that.
Right.
So what I will say is this. I feel like if we're in a world where Kofi Kingston and Big E both can become WWE champion, then we have to like cool it with the jokes of doing this person, like the serious jokes, like the insulting ones. Like you could be like, okay, Montez Ford is the one. Like, that's cool. But like the stuff where it is to actually denigrate D'Angelo and do the your Jannetty thing or whatever else, at this point, at this space where we've had, like I mentioned, we've had Kofi and we've had Big E. Come on. Like, they don't have to break up. They have to turn on one another. They don't have to just to put the rocket strap to Montez. Like, the reason why people, still ride for Kofi and still ride for Big E after everything that's happened with them over the last 3 years, 4 years at this point, is because of they were able to manage to figure out a way to stick together while they achieved as singles or whatever else. And it didn't go the way it was supposed to, and they always had something to fall back on. We can't just be acting like they're just going to push Montez to the moon and he's about to just beat Roman Reigns in 2 years at WrestleMania. Let's not be that fucking foolish. Come on. I'm not saying that D'Angelo is some fallback either, but it's let's not just be in a rush just to throw him out like he's fucking bathwater, because you know how this company is. They'll be hoping, wishing they can go back to something like this very soon because they're incompetent. Let's not forget the part where they're incompetent. So yeah, they need to relax on that.
Yeah. As far as the match, the Usos ended up defeating the Street Profits in just over 23 minutes. Felt like it was longer than that. There was a excruciatingly long heat segment part with the Usos that was what I would term sleep-inducing.
Bro, there was one in Stardom. We'll get to it, but the build a hot tag, then double down, and then build another hot tag right after it, that, just because it's a long match, that shit's gotta go. Make the match shorter.
Cut it out.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of people going match of the year on this on Twitter. I wasn't there on that level for you guys on that one. I'm sorry. Just there was way too many times Jey Uso just paused for 30 seconds and mean mugged in front of the camera, in front of the hard cam.
What did they fuck up right before the finish?
There was something.
I can't remember what it was. It was some weird thing where they were just sitting there looking with their thumbs up their asses. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, there was.
Not the end of the world, but it was it was some awkwardness thing. I can't remember what it was, but it was blatant that something wasn't going the way it was supposed to until the right before the finish.
Yeah, there was just a lot of slow pace work throughout and they were milking it. They were getting as much as they can out of everything they did. And then of course towards the end they started, with the near falls and stuff, and the crowd turned up. There was a big dive. Dawkins did. There was one over the ring post. Ford did. Yep. The Usos did.
Does Ricochet hate Montez Ford?
Maybe.
I just wanted you to say no. You're like, maybe. You stole my spot, fucker.
Yeah, maybe. It's not even such as you stole my spot. It's I did this shit in 2014. Nobody saw it. And that's the people that are praising you have no idea I did this, right, or whatever. So it's a lot there. But I would probably go 4 stars on this match. I don't think this is a match of the year candidate or at all. I think people need to lay off the whatever they're doing.
I mean, they're trying to get him into the game. You know how that is.
Yeah, this is just the culture war at it again.
Yeah, because it's been I think this is the only real match. Well, no, the one match they had at day one was I think this match was maybe a little better than that match. Was those really the only matches the Usos have to speak of this year. Day one and this one. There might be one on TV that I just don't remember. There's probably one with
Didn't they do
Team
Riddle
RKO, RK Bro, yeah. They probably got 3 this year that are these are great, matches or whatever else that the Usos have had. But it's compared to who? Lucha Bros, FTR, the Young Bucks, Kaguma and Hazuki, Starlight Kid and Momo. So, you know, I mean, I can't speak to whatever happened in with the Briscoes, but I'm sure they have killer
FTR
matches.
and the Briscoes was like miles ahead.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Light years ahead of this.
Yeah. I mean, you also throw like Aussie Open because they've had a great year so far too. So like, yeah, that I've even seen compared to the stuff they actually done. So yeah, like
if you can get your hands on it, I know you haven't seen it yet, but that's must see.
What?
FTR and the Briscoes.
Oh, I got it on a hard drive.
Okay.
I don't think it's the first time I've ever mentioned me having something on a hard drive. Right. I think that's the first time I've ever let that one slip. But yeah, I got it. I got a copy of
the DVD. You know, it came out.
I got a copy of it on a hard drive. I just haven't watched it. I'm planning on getting to it this week, actually. Like, you know, got to get through a lot of stuff that I've not watched. Like, get it out the way, like just like a housekeeping thing, like spring clean almost. Like, get it, rate it, add it to the collection of stuff, to the Rolodex stuff I watch, the database, and then move on, because I know, like, by the time we get to, like, in a couple weeks, bro, it's going to be rough. It's going to be rough.
G1 is on deck.
G1 Grand Prix starts at the end of the month. I'm probably going to try to watch some N1. And it's tournament season. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, man. And then we had Ronda Rousey taking on Natalya. it was cool.
You know, I like these kind of matches more than you, though. So, you know.
It was...
it was a good match. How good? I wouldn't say it was some great match, but it was. I thought it was good.
Some cute spots.
Here you go. Anyway, the gist of the story is like Natty just going down on her leg, and Ronda is trading submissions back and forth with her. I forgot, but anyway, by the end of it, it really sets up going towards the cash in. So after Ronda thwarts this submission grappler, this fucking dungeon alum, out comes Liv Morgan, and like the bell rings and Liv immediately gets put in an ankle lock, and like she's about to tap. The crowd's booing that this wrestler that just went through a war immediately is fighting for her life. You're like, why don't you just roll over and die and quit? So then Liv looks like she's dead to rights. She has no way to get out. Liv then like kicks the leg or kicks Ronda's bad knee, and then just immediately just hits the schoolboy and gets the 1, 2, 3. Like there's no kick out. Like Ronda apparently was just incapacitated to where it's like she didn't have like the cognitive awareness to kick out after getting kicked in the knee. Apparently the knee is where the brain is held. So she gets pinned. Liv is the SmackDown Women's Champion. Ronda, the ref comes in with the belt. Ronda immediately snatches the belt out the ref's hand. Ronda gets up and then hands the belt over to Liv, and then gives Liv like a one-armed hug, and then raises her hand as she walks out all in one motion. Raises her hand and walks out the ring and leaves. And I was like, yo, I know people are happy for Liv, but like Liv is not the protagonist. Like
James,
go ahead.
A wise man once said on this show, Liv Morgan will never win. And that man is still correct. I don't know what on earth they were trying to pull, but the shit that I saw on this show was not winning. This is not what winners do. This is not how they conduct themselves. This is a Make-A-Wish program come to life. This is a babyface taking advantage of another babyface's injury. This is a babyface.
And then the babyface took advantage of is happy for her. I'm glad you were able to just beat me up while I was already injured. What?
This is a babyface that was not able to hit her own move.
That's true.
On the said person they were going to cash in on. This was not honorable. James, do me a favor. Please name 3 of your favorite wrestlers of all time.
3 of my favorite wrestlers of all time?
Please.
Okada, Daniel Bryan, Bryan Danielson, and let's say Tam Nakano. Why not?
Awesome. Let's start with Tam Nakano.
Oh, God.
She had a big championship win last year, James. She won the white belt.
Yep.
Where was that located? Was that Sumo Hall, if I'm not mistaken? Budokan Hall. Now, James, if she had to come into that match shortly after competing that night, roll in there against Julia, who was booked against someone else, by the way, doing her own feud.
Mm-hmm.
And Tam Nakano had to kick Julia's leg out of her leg like Owen Hart. While she's nursing said injury. And win the championship in that manner. Excuse me. Would you be proud of this?
No.
Would you champion this?
No.
Would you think this was a star-making performance?
No.
Would you think this is some once-in-a-lifetime thing?
No. And in fact, if that had happened, like, that would have made me, like, my love for Stardom would have died. What brought me in was the part where, like, I knew Tam was eventually going to win the title. Yeah.
You would think this person was an absolute geek.
Loser and geek, yeah.
And guess what? Liv Morgan still will never win. This was not winning. This was charity.
I don't disagree. Like when I saw that, when I heard that she had won, because I didn't watch this show live, because why would I?
Same.
So I heard she cashed. I was like, okay, well, we'll see how this goes.
This was the embodiment of Liv Morgan will never win. This right here.
Because they don't want her to win. They don't want her to be a winner. Like, this goes in line with, like, what they have done to baby faces in WWE, post Daniel Bryan and the Yes Movement. Like, everybody is the Chicago Cubs. Like, you might win the 2016 World Series, but, like, there's still, like, you got to go through, like, 100 years of misery and suffering and getting kicked in the teeth and let down by your team, and maybe you're not even actually competitive. Well, everybody else wins, like the Cardinals. The evil Cardinals always win, right? Like, it was not... I'm watching, I'm just like, I'm sure people are happy for her because, you know, there's always people happy for someone's first win, and people want to see title changes at shows. That's why they always root for them. Heel or not, whatever. And Liv is someone that people think has been underutilized, and I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that. But I would say is that, like, while being underutilized, I think you need to also have, like, programs and matches and stories that make you feel that way, as opposed to just seeing, like, flashes of talent here and there. And I think that's most of what you've seen out of Liv is flashes here and there, but not actually anything really consistent or anything they actually have tried to follow up on to make you actually believe in her in that way. So that's why we always, like, you know, we talk about this. So when she gets the belt and it's like, all right, now what?
This is Nikki ASH Part 2, and they're staring it in the face. I don't know how they see this. This is a geek with a title that is holding it until Charlotte comes back.
I think people will push
back on that. What don't they get?
I think people will push back on that because, like, the superhero gimmick was so limited compared to Liv just not having that kind of burden on her.
Just being a sympathy case, a charity case.
Hey, being a babyface, a big part of that is being able to get sympathy. Right, I'm not gonna dismiss what you're saying, but, like, if she has people behind her, that's half the job. I just think that, like, those people, they're got their heart broken really quickly. Like, I would like. How shocked would you be if she were able to? Like, what month is it? It's July, right?
Oh my God! Should we put a timer on this?
How shocked would you be if she made it to Hell in a Cell? Oh, Hell in a Cell already happened. But how if she got to October, Halloween with the belt?
I would be fucking baffled if
Same
she made
here.
it to Halloween with the title, because
Yeah.
that would mean she would actually have to beat people, James.
Well, does that mean that?
Or she could just retain the title through absurd means.
I was actually thinking more like Dean Ambrose U.S. title, where you never defend that bitch ever.
The only thing that I think I could have liked more than how they did this and they geekified the win, so I could still come on here and uphold the prophecy of Liv Morgan will never win, because this isn't winning, of course, is if they would have turned her heel in the process of putting the title on her.
Oh man!
Then I would have almost been uncontrollable.
I did it, and you fans never believed in me. But God damn it, I can hear it fucking now. I can hear it now. And the crowd's like, "No, we fucking loved your loser ass, and now you won. You want to turn on us? Fuck yes." Oh man.
There's a story that's going on the screen, which is there is no story. This person was just doing jobs and jobs and jobs, and then pulled out a golden ticket, and then rolled up on the champion, whatever. And then there's the online stan following of Liv Morgan that's took on a life of its own, and it almost fell back into the other stuff. So yeah. Not into it at all. Going to come back on this show when the belt gets dropped back off in more capable hands. Come a SummerSlam, come a Survivor Series, come a Royal Rumble, come a WrestleMania, and Liv will be on the sideline, kind of where she's appropriately slotted. Come that time.
Why are you so mean, man?
Somebody has to tell them the truth. Someone has to tell them the truth.
I'm with you on everything you said. This last part was unnecessary.
Gotta tell them the truth. I gotta tell them, because I hope they don't believe this, James.
No.
I hope they don't believe this.
The part where you just given where this roster is at this point, you said they need more capable hands. One more capable hands. Ain't nobody. Look, Sasha Banks is walking through that door. Naomi walking through that door. Shirai walking through that door. She's walking out that fucking door real soon. This is where we are now in American Women's Wrestling. This is where we are. It's rough out here.
So I just figure, come those big four events, they're going to be getting on the phone to get somebody in there, just how Ronda showed up out of nowhere this past January.
Look, man, I mean,
a lot greater people than Liv Morgan have been moved around, like the South, like Pimp C would say, to make room for Bayley, who may be showing back up at any moment.
Charlotte,
who
coming
may be
off
showing back up.
Yeah.
Who knows if Sasha Banks squashes this whole thing whenever Ronda is deciding to come on back.
Mm-hmm. And then also
when they have Liv Morgan eat a woman's right, they could do that as well. So
God,
I don't know,
this is what I will say. I think she'll come off the belt before football season, and then by the time we get to the draft, and Becky Lynch is back on SmackDown, and they're clearing the path to get ready for Ronda versus Becky. She'll be back where she was.
I hope it is a fairy tale that what's going on right now. This is make believe, like T.I. would say.
I mean,
make believe.
It's all fake.
This is make believe. This fool's gold. Don't fall in love with this. What I'm telling y'all, don't marry yourselves to this idea of this long, fruitful title reign.
Look, he's being mean, but he also means well. I know that doesn't really sound like it makes sense, but he's trying to insult you into snapping out of it. Yes,
learn. I'm trying to teach. I know sometimes learning isn't always,
easy.
You can't just sometimes you think this person doesn't have your best interest in mind. No, man. Rich is trying to help you. Rich is trying to save you this burden, this trouble, this agony of going through, marrying yourselves to what has been shown to be a loser. Even in winning is still showing to lose, and be a geek because, I don't remember Charlotte's first title being won like this. I don't remember Ronda Rousey,
who's first title winner I remember being like this?
Who?
Bayley's. Hell no. And then you saw what happened. They immediately took it off her like within 2 months or something like that. So there's a precedent for this. There's a precedent for this. Like Vince, I understand. Like Vince don't respect this. Vince doing it, but he don't respect it. Like there's he realizes there's no real sustainability behind this.
Yeah. So send it to all the little Morgan stands. Let them get upset. But we know who's gonna be on top. Who's gonna be laughing at the end. And looking at the calendar, maybe that's about 2.5 months from now, maybe less.
The clock ticking.
Look.
So
y'all better enjoy it. 10 more seconds than passed,
So, all right, so what was next? Main event?
Main evento. Take me through it.
I mean...
all these Money in the Bank matches blend together.
Yeah. That's why I was like, you want me to remember this? I think the finish was Riddle was on top with Theory. I forgot how Theory gets Riddle knocked off, but he knocks off Riddle, and then Theory ends up grabbing the briefcase to the chagrin of everyone that's ever watched pro wrestling.
Yes, I always love it, James, when a man not advertised for the main event wins it. Yeah. A stroke of genius storytelling.
I also like the finishing bout where like it's the sex pest people like versus the sex pest they don't, and they're fighting at the top to see who wins the cash in any time to be the top champion thing. And it's like, wait a second, what? But you had so many people in the match that aren't sex pests.
Couldn't have went with any of them, even by accident.
Yeah, Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins.
They say they like Seth Rollins.
Sheamus,
no.
Okay, fine.
Oh, one other thing about the Usos and the New Day match. They had to throw he didn't have his shoulder down thing into it.
Yep, they did.
Which I thought was stupid because
they want to set up a match for SummerSlam.
Right. But it's like he was getting pinned, heard them counting, and decided not to try to attempt to kick out like he had did for any other time in the match. And I'm like, that's just dumb. And it's just like, all right, y'all got to do another match. Okay.
So this match, as you mentioned, they're very much all the same, but this match was at points damn good, and then almost was getting away and fuck it all up. And in a way, that was reminding me of the TakeOver 25 match with all the tag teams, where it was Red Dragon and Street Profits and Lorcan and Birch and the Forgotten Sons, and Gunner kept coming in. What I forgot what Gunner's name is.
Jackson
Riker. Jackson Riker kept interfering, and then eventually it gets to this spot that keeps getting re-memed every 6 months that I see, where it's just all the tag teams coming and whoop his ass and bring a ladder and drag him, and then the crowd kept getting hotter and hotter as they whooped his ass eventually to get him off the table. And it's almost like that, where he kept getting in the way and mucking up the match. He kept gumming up the gears of the machine, and then every time they got him off kept killing him to get him away from the match would get good again. It was here's an idea: just never put him in the match to begin with. You got to do all that. But yeah, it was still a very good match. But they all kind of run together, and that's ladder matches in general, because all these ladder matches all from everywhere, all just ridiculous. They're fun, they're dangerous, and but like a week later, you just say that was a really good match. What do you remember? Maybe a spot or two, but like the whole thing, nah, it's hard to do.
Yeah,
unless it's like a singles match.
Needs to be less of them. But
I know you've advocated long for the what do you call it? I won't say the disarmament, like how people talk about like
Money in the Bank needs to be abolished.
I don't think that Money in the Bank needs to be abolished. I just think they need new bookers. But I mean, that's the case with everything.
I think the concept
everything
sucks.
they do everything they do on a year-to-year basis, it's all intact. It all makes sense. Whatever else. The problem is the booker sucks. Don't fix the gimmicks that all make sense or whatever else. Change the booker.
Like they could have had someone pull the briefcase down, like Liv Morgan, for example. Mm-hmm. They could have had her come out the next night on Raw and be like, yo, or SmackDown, and be like, I'm challenging Ronda at SummerSlam for it, right?
I thought you were going to say, I'm challenging it one night only. Like RBT did.
And that's an honorable, and you set up a match or whatever, right? And it would almost be fresh to do it that way, right? Mm-hmm. But instead, she does this cash in on Ronda. There's rumors that it's them two at SummerSlam. Liv's the champion because I guess they figured they can't put her on the marquee at all as a challenger. She has to go in as a champion with the A side going in as Ronda Rousey, still not the champion. Maybe it's a lack of belief, but I just think the concept has run its course in if they're not going to pull out any new variations, I feel like the concept has run its course. And I felt like that a few years ago, especially seeing is like how these winners keep getting worse and fucking worse.
That's the problem with bad booking. That's the problem with bad
Otis
booking.
is winning the shit and like, it is going
Rich,
this year.
That is the problem of bad booking. If you can't get how does everything except Royal Rumble and WrestleMania always sneak up on them when this calendar is basically the same every single fucking year? There's always a Money in the Bank. There's always a Hell in a Cell. Doesn't happen when it's time for TK to do for Tony Khan to do Blood and Guts or do Stadium Stampede. He always has a match because he knows what's on the calendar. Like, he's not gonna get blindsided when it's time to do that battle royal to figure out who the two dudes are gonna fight for the MJF Battle Bowl ring. That's not gonna happen come fall of this year. He's gonna know. Why? Because it's his fucking schedule. It's his calendar. This bad booking. Like this is the only place where this happens. We never have bad New Japan Cup winners. We never have bad Cinderella winners. We never have bad G1 winners. We never have bad Grand Prix winners. It's only this fucking company that fucks this up. We didn't have bad Dusty Cup winners. It's the booker. This is fake. You can build the momentum. The wins and losses are shit that you write in a notebook and you say who goes up and who goes down.
Liv could have won matches 4 weeks in a row before this.
Right. Like, think about it like this. How did Becky Lynch get over? Because they gave her a fucking win streak. People were like, oh yeah, she's hot. And then they beat her and they were like, people were like, what the fuck? And then people were like, that's not a story you were told. Bullshit! She went on a winning streak!
Also, the Road Dogg, stop trying to twerk for a contract in AEW on the timeline. Stop it.
Like this is maddening. I watch it once a month. It is maddening.
Diogo, New Japan doesn't fuck up often, but I can never forget Evil Watanabe winning the New Japan Cup. that's like a fair. Once in a.
That's one out of how many though? Out of a half. Yeah,
it's a really bad one.
Fair
right?
point. Fair point. Sometimes you try to make a guy and it's a disaster.
Yep.
But you can't say he didn't have momentum when he went out there and he beat Naito, he beat Okada, and he became champion. If you beat Okada and Naito, you kind of gotta be champion.
Yeah. But I don't really have much else for this. So James, I guess it's time to hit the music.
Okay.
Man, opening that pack felt so good.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the June 26th Corcoran Hall show, and because Rich watched...
28th.
I didn't say 28th?
No, you said 26th.
You're right, my bad. 26th was the double cage match show, the pay-per-view. So this was 2 days later. This was the Corcoran after that. That was on a Tuesday, and then, or was it on a Monday? I can't remember. Whatever. 2 days after the pay-per-view. It was a Tuesday because the paper was on a Sunday, same day as Forbidden Door. But and then I watched the show from Saturday because it actually got up, and I watched it all today. And I'll fly through that. But Rich actually watched like a chunk of the Corcoran Hall show, so we'll talk about it. First match on the show is, and this is like the final night. And this is also like on the show is the final night of the qualifying tournament for the G1 to get in. So at this point, Ami, she swept her block, so she was 8 points. She's in, and then you had some tiebreaker scenarios of people having to win and lose to get in. So the first match was Kogo versus Rina, and there was no stakes involved. Or actually, there was stakes in this where like if Rina won, she could have had a chance to like continue to stay alive depending on the next two matches. But at the end, Kogo ends up finishing Rina with a flip over crucifix bomb. I gave it 2.5 stars. The next match was Ida versus Hina. And so at this point with Rina out, like Ida has to win to get in, and she does. She ends up beating Hina with an Ida Rock, so she gets in. And then the last match was Roaka versus Mai, where like I think either one of them wins and gets in. Mai ends up catching Roaka with a flash pin. She calls the Ami. The My Pan roll and gets the win. I gave it 2.5 stars. The best match of the three were Ida versus Hina. For this tournament, the MVP of this thing easily was Ida. Like she had, like every match she had was either 3 stars or like 2 3/4. So like, you know, she was someone that shouldn't even had to, I thought someone should just been in it. But whatever, they gave her the road to where she got in and last minute. It was cool. So, happy she's in it. My being in it, I'm fine. Someone has to eat pins. And also Ida's going to eat a lot of pins in this too, but like she is going to have quality matches while she's eating pins or whatever else. Like she's always going to have like 3.25 to 3.5 while she's getting her ass kicked, but it's going to be fun. Ami, I don't know what they do with her, but like she's in the opposite block, and we'll talk about the blocks. You want to talk about the blocks now or later?
We might as well talk about the blocks. Do you have them?
Yeah, I do have them. The blocks, a lot of them are, I don't want to say exact resemblances to last year's block, but like they basically had a core of people from each block inside it. Let's just kind of recreate that and have that from last year and kind of keep these core matches, these core people together. So this year's red block is the core of it is last year's blue block. So you have Shuri, Red Belt champion, you have Tam Nakano, you have Utami, you have Azumi, and you have Micah, who were all in last year's, and also Unagi, that were in last year's blue block, which was my favorite block since watching Stardom. And like also added to that, you have Risa Sarah from Ice Ribbon, Saki from Colors, and now like, all right, so Rich, Saki Watanabe. Yeah, Saki Watanabe. I I got to figure out. I got to give her a singular name to call her while I do these shows because I can't. Because her and Saki Kashima are in the same block, and I can't have that. It's gonna be confusion. It's gonna be tongue twisters and
call it a sock.
So the sock. Okay, I'm not doing that. So because you actually found out her last name is Watanabe, I am going to suggest that we. If you come up with something better, you let me know. But I guess for lack of a better word, we call her Sakanabe. Does that work, or do you want something better?
I'll just go Saki Watanabe. That works for me.
Okay, I gotta come up with something. I don't know. Saki Dub. I don't know, man. We gotta come up with something. Y'all that listen to this show that ever hear my voice when it comes to this, if y'all can get back to me, because I've messaged JD from Red Leaf, I've messaged JML, I messaged I don't think I messaged Niagara Driver, I messaged someone else. Like, we gotta come up with a name. We gotta come up with a name besides Saki. It can't be two Saki. Like, there's one Saki here. This is second Saki. We gotta come up with a name for her because I can't have this. I just can't. Especially trying to write notes. I know I'm going to fuck this up. So, y'all get back to me on what y'all trying to, or suggestions for calling her, whatever we call her. But I need something. Something. Anything. Anyway, so, also with that, you have, Kaguma, you have Tekla, you have Mai Sakurai, Hameka, and like, I really like this block. I really feel like this year's roster is more even. Like last year's blue block just felt like, felt like the fucking 2017 Warriors as opposed to like.
I feel like the red still has I feel like the red's the A block, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the blue's good as well.
So what puts it over the top for you to make you think that the red block is so much better?
All right. The last two red belt champions. You got Shuri and Utami. You got Tam in there who's doing great work. Azumi is gonna beat one of those three at some point. Kaguma's in there. Tekla's interesting. Unagi's interesting. Saki Watanabe is interesting. And Micah's in there. Yeah, Micah and Hameka, like that those two facing off.
It's definitely more of the. Else. I feel like it with this year being where the red belt champion and the white belt champion aren't in the same block like it has been since 2019. It feels more like this feels like the division, or a lot of it, like with Tam and Micah and Hameka and Utami, like it feels like these are, and also like Risa Sarah in here, like it feels like this is Shuri in here with like her with outside of Julia and Mayu, like all of her closest challengers. Where you look at like the blue block and it's like you see Kamatani, you see Nasapoi, and you see Starlight Kid, and you see Mina, like that seems more like, her closest challengers, like if it's more like the blue block may as well be called the white block. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I think from that perspective, like that's why I kind of see it as even. And then I think of like, all right, who are the two best workers in the company? In my opinion, it'd be Mayu and Shuri still, right? Who are the 3 and 4 people? I would say Momo and Utami. Then you'd be like, all right, well, who's the 5 and 6? I'd probably say something along the lines of like Julia and Tam, and they're all split in that way. So that's kind of where I was going. And then you look at the high speed, and you look at like the size people, right? Like, so you got Micah and Hameka as like the Bash sisters, right? But they got Ami and Mirai in the other block. The high speeders, right? You got Azumi, Kaguma, and Tekla. On the other side, you got Hazuki and Kid and Nasapoi. Right, like, so that's why I felt like it was balanced in that way. Like, it was styles, sizes, and then also like this title pictures. So, like, but I felt like even the talent was kind of evenly distributed, because it's like I would have much rather have seen like, for example, Ida in the red block than in the blue block, but they put Mai there.
Right.
yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I was just, that's my initial thoughts on it, but.
All I know is Mayu Iwatani thinking the heavens she ain't got to face Saki Kashima.
They already did that once this year. They ain't gonna do that again. So as far as the blue block, as you mentioned, they got Kamatani, the white belt champion. They have Mayu, they have Julia, they have Starlight Kid, Momo, Hazuki, Nasapoi, Ida, Mina, Hanan, Mirai, Ami, and Suzu Suzuki. And like that's another high speeder type or whatever else.
Yeah.
I just really like I mean, the only complaint I really have about this tournament is like there's no Utami Momo match because they're in different blocks. But outside of that, like I think it's pretty well like roster positioning wise, like I can kind of see where everybody falls in with points. As far as like what you need, as far as like, you know, power wrestler versus speed wrestler, all arounder versus submission specialist. I feel like, you know, I feel like they did a good job with this, or did a better job than last year, where it was like, okay, all right, it's gonna be the number 5 person in the tournament is like Kamatani or Micah, because there's Takumi and Tam and Shuri and Utami at the top 4. Like, god damn, they're loaded. So I feel like they did a better job this year.
This is definitely the best field. Like we didn't get Takumi this year, which is sad, but there's, as you mentioned, there's an even distribution of talent. I think I like the way the red block's talent will work with each other more than the blue.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
just because there's big matches I want to see more. Like I want to see another Shuri and Utami match. Shuri and Tam is new. Shuri and Izumi, and Shuri's on upset alert there, I feel like. And
that's night 1. They're doing that night 1. And they're playing out the part where like Izumi's 2-0 against her in Grand Prix matches.
Can Izumi get a red belt title match this year? That's what I want to know. Then of course, I know Saya and Starlight Kid have a white belt title match coming up. So this in the block could be a rematch or something like that of the second of 3 matches that happens. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff, like just looking at it.
I mean, you look at the blue block. I mean, because now we're about to go into a preview thing, but we're like almost a month away. But like, then you see like, I am disappointed there is no Momo in the red block, but at the same time, it's like they're gonna have another Hazuki and Momo match. Sign me the fuck up. So like, yeah, I think that I really like this tournament. I think it's gonna be loaded. I've seen some of the dates for the end, for like the final, and it seems to me like they're pushing the blue block to be like the block that quote unquote main events. Like last year, they did all of the red block matches first, and did the blue block matches last, and then they got to the final. This year, it seems like they're doing all the blue block matches last again, and then the red block matches going first. Because like, Utami's wrestling Kaguma in the last night. Shuri is facing Risa Sera. Tam's facing Saki W. Like there's not like the only big match in the red block or big match is like Micah versus Himeka, but like the blue block is going to be like Kid and Mayu, Suzu and Julia. I can't remember who Momo's facing. I can't remember who Hazuki's facing. I can't remember who Kamatani's facing. But like, it feels like they're setting up for blue block to quote unquote main event this show. And I mean, they definitely got 2 matches to do it with, because Kid and Mayu's a big deal, and Suzu and Julia, they've been itching to do this all year.
Yeah. Unagi's gonna have to assess Shuri, you know. So
yeah, it's always funny when Unagi assesses Shuri, because it's up with Unagi like basically like almost dying. I guess it's now get back to the 628 show. So after we got through all the festivities with, closing in who's going to get into the Grand Prix, they did a bit of a weird singles match. They did Kid versus Waka. Now, this match, as you've mentioned before, Waka sometimes is just flat out terrible, right? She's the worst wrestler on the roster. You can say what you want to about what you think of other wrestlers or whatever else. I just think, just match to match, move for move, bar for bar, skill for skill, whatever else. She is just the least talented wrestler, and also least experienced wrestler, or combination of talent and experience on the whole entire roster. She was in there with Kid, and Kid, just said, I'm just going to work around all the things you can do. We're not going to do anything you can't do. And I'm going to tell this story of me working over your leg, because I need to go over this leg submission. This new leg submission that I'm going to try to put Kamitani in, and I'm going to build it now to get towards this match. I have a Kamitani in a couple weeks. So they did all that. And this match was good. And I think I sent you a message last week or whatever else saying, or a couple days ago saying it's almost like a Bret Hart carry job. She carried her to 3 stars. and there's near falls and all this stuff, and it's I can't believe that Starlight Kid is actually doing a good job of giving off the threat that the white belt challenger, potential next white belt champion, is in danger to Waka Tsukiyama. But it worked. At the end, Kid got back to the leg and slapped on a brand new submission on Waka. She calls it a Black Tiger Leg Destroyer. It's basically a modified stretch muffler. It's a stretch muffler with a leg choke. Also, it looks brutal.
Waka.
Yeah. So then you end up getting from there. You get another singles match. You get Hannah defending the Futures belt versus Tomoka and Inaba from Just Tap Out. She is the future or the juniors champion in Sendai Girls. What do you think of this match?
I thought this was all right, Hannon, it's time for some real shit. Mm-hmm. It went to a draw. Mm-hmm. And
15-minute time limit draw for the Futures match. It's 15-minute time limit.
I think it was how they say, a young boxer has to step up in class, essentially. I think that's what this was for Hannon. It was all right, there's the cute openers that you were doing that, nice and solid or whatever, but this one's in the middle of the show. There's expectations here. There's an outsider. This is not somebody that's normally probably in your dojo with you, making sure everything's right. This is kind of a showcase right here.
Yeah,
and
she's just here around for basically the new blood stuff.
Yeah. And I thought it was cool. I thought it was I don't remember the young lady's name. Tomoka. Okay. Yeah. She had some cool submission stuff. She came out, she was doing the kata. It seemed right. When she first got in the ring, I was like, oh, is she about to do some ninja shit? So I was I was like, oh shit. So, and it was, I thought it was cool. It was a good step up in class for Hannon, to shake her up from having to fight Ruaka and the regulars
and their sisters. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought this was a good match. I saw people talk about this if this is the best Futures match ever, or something approaching 3 3/4, and I was like, nah. I felt a lot of this match was just we know what the story is, and we keep going back to the story, but we're out of moves. They kept going back to the ankle lock and kept going back to the ankle lock and kept going back to the ankle lock. I was like, bruh, it's only 15 minutes. Fuck. But the story was very good. I thought Hannah's selling was great. I thought that Tomoka looked like a killer in there as a submission specialist. And I think that she does a really good job of, even while being a good striker and kicker, holding off on the kicks and the strikes and saving it for the second and third act of her matches, even if this match only went 15 minutes. But Yeah, I thought it was a very good match, but it did feel like they were padding this match. Like it felt like they had 10 minutes worth of match or 12 minutes worth of match, and they were like, "Oh, we just gotta hold on for the last 3 minutes because we'd already told the story, but we ain't got nothing else. So let you grab the ropes, you escape, and then I'll put you right back into it again." And his hand was just holding on for dear life, screaming her head off. But yeah, it was a very good match, and I want to see him have another one. And I think at this point, Hannon already set the defense record by getting past this. And after this, she calls out Waka because she already had a singles match set with Waka at the next pay-per-view, and she says, "Well, I want to defend it against you." And Waka's like, "But I haven't won," and I fucking howled because it's like, yeah, you don't deserve this at all. But Hand is so nice, and she's like, "I'll give you a shot." Now, if we come, because the pay-per-view is this weekend, if we come back next weekend and Waka is the fucking future Stardom champion,
we are opening the show with Waka Tsukiyama, and we're going to talk about what a real winner looks like.
Oh my god! I didn't know where you were going. I had no idea.
If Waka wins,
oh my god! I mean, Lisa told a story where, like, because this whole losing streak has been a story of like, when is she going to get her first win? The crowd all behind her, they're going crazy for her to win. Because now Hannon has set the record, there's nowhere else for her to go. It would be fucking hilarious if she did become future. I don't think it's gonna happen, but like, if they were to do it, it would be like, well, they did tell a story with this whole thing. And now I don't know what they do with it. Like, probably goes to to Hino Arena, but whatever. Like, we'll see.
Lothario Nera says, "Is Hannon being nice, or is she gassing up the defense record with an easy win?"
Hey, everybody gets paid to do this. There's no such thing as easy wins in NFL.
They all professionals,
right? Yeah. Any given
Waka,
Sunday,
trained fighter,
right? When she put up her fist, she's like this, trained fighter every single time. That shit's hilarious.
Trained fighter. MJ was good, man.
Oh man. So, all right. So, let's see where we are now. Okay. So, next match after that, you have 8-person tag. It is, I guess, Cosmic Colors. It is Mina, Unagi, Second Saki, and Hikari Shimizu versus Utami, Kamatani, Azumi, and Lady C. And I felt like this whole match is basically like everybody's in, everybody's out, everyone's flying around, and then at the end, it's Lady C and Second Saki, and Second Saki hits her running brainbuster deal that looks really cool. And when I gave it 3.5, I thought everyone flew around in this match. I thought it was very entertaining. Next match after that, you end up getting, this was effectively a number one contendership match for the trios titles. It's Mayu, Hazuki, and Kaguma who, said they were gunning for the trios titles versus Shuri, Mirai, and, Ami versus Danamano, Julia, Maika, and Himeka versus Momo, Saki, and Death. And this match is a 4-way trios match. It has elimination rules. So, but it's single elimination. It's not you gotta eliminate all 3 people, you gotta eliminate 1 person. So, but it's also no tags. Like, so it basically turns into like a PW, one of those PW Stardom matches basically breaks into like comedy and PWG and craziness. This one was one of those. So, too much shit happened in this match for me to try to recap. The gist of it is, like, ever since the SWA title match between Death and Mayu, they have put Mayu and Death in these situations where, like, Death eliminates Mayu in elimination matches by basically just grabbing her around the arms and just saying, and basically sacrificing herself and saying, "You're the top star in stars. I am a pet. I grab you, I take you out, we have a chance to win for Oedo Tai, I take you out." And like every single time, Mayu is like upset. So this time, They tried it, and this time Stars like, we're not having this. So, and Oedo Tai also cheats all the time anyway when someone gets eliminated. So they both like went off the apron, and Stars and Oedo Tai threw them back up on the apron, and then Julia just drop kicked them right the fuck off. And Julia, like, after always losing in every single elimination match she's ever in, finally got the winning fall in an elimination match, and she was so happy. It was funny. Long form storytelling. So, then, and I ended up giving this match like 3 3/4. I really enjoyed this match. So then you end up getting the main event. After this match, Rossi put out a tweet saying that,
hold on, how is Rossi tweeting from the dead?
He no-sold it. Kicked out at 2.
Incredible.
So Rossi tweeted out after this match, or the day after this match, something like that, something along the lines of, I did basically saying, like, explaining kind of why he did the story of pay-per-view match, cage match, and second match, regular rules match. Basically saying, like, originally it was supposed to be just one match, then it was like, well, we gotta have something, we can't just have, may as well have 2 matches, 2 cage matches while we're having it. So they end up doing the match. But telling the story all together, it makes a lot of sense. But said that, like, Natsupoi had never main evented in a singles match in Korakuen Hall before. She's been around wrestling for like since at least 2016. She's really fucking good. First time ever main eventing in Korakuen Hall. And like, this was like the biggest win of her career. And she said that Natsupoi texted her and said, like, she's happy that she came to Stardom. There's a person now that's now in her, this is her 3rd promotion, right? Like, never found a place that put her over, never found a place that, like, spotlighted her at the top and did this kind of stuff with her for a variety of reasons, not necessarily the promotion control, just it is what it is. And, like, combined with the story from what you call the super depressing match from the pay-per-view where Tim beat the stuffing out of her, and we ended the show last week, and you were like, she better fucking win. And then when we got off air, you were like, she's probably gonna win on a roll-up. She just finished Tam, and I thought this was great and told a great 2-match story. But the match, so what are your thoughts on this? And I'll go through the match.
Yeah, I thought this was a better wrestled match. I think overall in a vacuum, I think I would take the cage match still, even though I was damn near depressed by it. But like, it was cool to see like them kind of turn up the pace in this match as compared to the cage match. The Randy Savage sequence of hitting her with 5 moves off the top rope was fucking hilarious. I knew about that before I watched the match. Okay. That was some Savage Warrior shit. We gonna wake Tam up with this new finish I got off the top rope and shit. I think we're slamming each other on the wood outside the ring. Tam 5'1", throwing the referee around and shit. I was fucking dying. But at the end of the day, it was like, can Natsupoi put her away? And she did. And that was like, hell yeah. Like, right. Should nobody be getting whooped in the way she was getting whooped and patronized, the way Tam was patronizing her at the end of that match, like, without standing up for yourself, essentially. Like, nah, man. Like, if she didn't win, she had to lose, go to hell. She had to leave the promotion. Like, no. She had to go join WWE or something.
Oh my god. So she gets the ever-loving shit beat out of her and choked out and murdered and killed, and like, it's funny because I saw some tweet in that Tam did some like video gaming stream with Taichi, and Taichi's in a Tam shirt, which is fucking hilarious. And like, Tam is wearing like this VR headset, and she's like scared to death of like this horror video game that Taichi's playing, or Taichi's having her play, and then she talked about how scary she is. And then like Tam at the end, like, or on Twitter's like talking about how like she's only scared of she doesn't like, she's not scared of anything except for heights and horror, right? And then Natsupoi tweets at her, you idiot, you were just on top of, like, you can't be scared of heights, you were just on top of a cage. And then, like, Tam's response was, like, I wasn't scared of the cage, I was scared of your dead body crawling towards me. He's like a zombie. But yeah, like, just thinking of, like, how badly she beat the hell out of her, and then, like, Natsupoi just would not go down and stay down and die. She just kept going, and then, like, Tam had to choke her out hanging from the cage, very similar. And then, like, a couple days later, Brody King steals that spot from Tam, and that's the point to do with the Derby to win the Battle Royal. But to go to 2 days later, where it's like they could have done a stretcher job on Natsupoi for real. 2 days later, and then basically start the match off where it's like Tam is almost like, I didn't break this woman. I am breaking this woman today.
Bro, so when she comes out in her entrance, right, I got this, like, feeling from Tam where she was walking out with such arrogance. It was like, I don't know why I'm, like, she almost wasn't even looking at Natsupoi, right? Wasn't even acknowledging she was there. It's like, I can't believe I gotta, like, get in there and do this again, but I'm not gonna let her know that I'm affected by this. That's what the entrance looked like to me.
Okay, so Natsupoi drop kicks her. They end up outside the ring. Natsupoi acts like, tries to, start with a head of momentum by, catching Tam at the start of the match. Tam quickly cuts her off and then body slams her hard as fuck on the floor on the mats, and then does it again. Then Natsupoi gets one. Then Tam does a couple more times, and then somehow one of them tries to expose move the mat to expose the parquet floor, and then the other one cuts the other one off. And then Natsupoi goes to body slam Tam. Tam gets down and then body slams Natsupoi hard as fuck on this parquet, and then, like, it makes this loud ass sound and the crowd gasps and all that, and then it's just basically like, now it's like basically gets you right back to where you were at the cage match, where it's like Tam's on top and Natsupoi just won't die. And eventually Natsupoi, they get back in the ring, and Natsupoi, while this all happening, like, Tam is pushing the ref out the fucking way so she can continue to body slam her on Natsupoi on the floor. And then they end up in the ring again, finally get the match back into the ring. And at some point, Natsupoi just had enough and fired up and just hit Tam with this spinning back kick to the face that just dazes Tam, then hits her with a bunch of forearms, and then hits her with a soul butt to the gut that puts Tam on her knees. And then Natsupoi hits, like, a sliding soul butt, like, from on a grounded position that, like, completely rocks Tam, looks fucking awesome. And then, as you mentioned earlier, like, Natsupoi gets to the top and hits, like, her spin dive, like, 5 times in a row, and it goes for the pin, and, she wins matches with that. Tam kicks, and then they go from there. Tam, at some point, who never goes to the top rope for anything other than to do a diving crossbody. While Natsupoi's on the ground, she does the twist dive, and I'm just like, oh, she's fucking trolling. Tam's out here trolling the shit out of Natsupoi. But by the end, you get Germans, you get tiger suplexes, you get straight jacket suplexes, and by the end, Natsupoi, like, finally breaks out a brand new move. Like, she does a twisting dive that she was doing, but this time it's a twisting dive with, like, a knee, with, like, either a knee or a foot stomp in it that just, like, devastates Tam, and then she hits Tam with her German suplex finish that looked gross, landed high on Tam's neck and gets the win, and it's like the biggest win of her career. And, like, they're just both laid out in the middle of the floor, exhausted next to each other. And then Natsupoi gets up and she's crying. She's like, I won. She's like, I finally won the big one. Finally got over this hump. And like she starts saying, like, before she goes on to say this thing, she, like, notices something's wrong with Tam's face, and she's like, you have no eyebrows. And I fucking howled laughing, because it was like, what?
Yes.
But then she says, Tam, you really are amazing, and starts saying nice things, and Tam is like, Tam gets her own mic, she's like, huh? What? Like, what are you doing? Like, are you trying to break kayfabe? What the fuck are you doing? You're being nice to me. Like, we hate each other guts. Get out of here. But Natsupoi then says, like, Tam wants to kind of squash it, like, you finally got to this level that you felt like you never could get to because you beat me here. You got your big win. Like, congratulations, that sort of thing, and tried to extend a hand. And Natsupoi was like, No. Just cause I beat you this one time don't mean like this is over or I feel like I've actually like fully surpassed you. Like we're gonna do this again. We're gonna do this again. And they end up in different blocks, but so that'll be for another time later. But which is probably for the best because they beat the shit out of each other 2 times. You want to do it another time in a month? Like that's a little overkill. This ain't WWE. But but yeah. Celebrates with and does sign off with her friends and super happy. And I was like, yeah, like I kept thinking like, is there a bigger match she's ever won? And then thinking about like her placements in other places, like probably not. And then, you know, seeing the story about, that Rossi put out about like the first time her main eventing Courtney Hall, I was like, oh yeah, this is the biggest match of her career, or this was the biggest one of her career. That's crazy. And then, last Saturday, that shows up from the 2nd of July. I'll run through this real quick. Kogo faced Lady C. Kogo beat Lady C with her Nectar Peach. It's like a pump handle. Is a pump handle vertical suplex pin. I gave it 2.5 stars. There was a Mayu and Ida versus Saki in death match where like Mayu gives Death a top rope Hurricane Rana, and then like in the opposite corner, Ida goes up and goes for a shoulder block, but Saki cuts it off and goes for a top rope Rana, but like she loses her balance going up, so Ida grabs her around the legs, and then like Saki just immediately goes to jump up to go to the Rana, but like Ida doesn't get her hands back out the way, so like as Saki jumps, she doesn't get her legs above like Saki's shoulders, or sorry, Saki doesn't get her legs above Ida's shoulders. They just get caught basically like in Ida's armpits. So something like she's giving like a body Hurricane Rana, and like Ida basically like lands on her fucking forehead. And like I don't know how she didn't like get a neck injury, but it looked gross and it was horrifying looking. But like Ida just gets up, soldiers through, continues with the match, and then it breaks into her 4-way, and Mayu goes to super kick Death, who is trapped by Ida, but Death escapes out the way. The super kick catches Ida. Saki ends up throwing Mayu, or grabbing Mayu and tackling her to the ground, and then Death ends up pinning Ida with a O'Connor roll and gets the win. I ended up giving like 2.5 stars. Gave it 2 3/4. Then there's a Shuri and Mai match, which, you know, it's going to happen in the Grand Prix. I was like, why are you doing this match? And then, like, the match happens, and Mai sticks her hand out for a handshake. Shuri obliges. She gets suckered. She's all over Shuri. Shuri quickly cuts her off, whoops her ass, and progressively, this turns into, like, one of those, like, last year matches between, like, Shuri and Unagi, where, like, it's going to be the thing where, like, your progress is against her, and she's gonna beat your ass the whole time, and you gotta hold on and buckle up and strap in because you're in for a ride. But like this match turned really good. This match turned good. I ended up giving 3 stars, and it's a mid-card match where like it's a squash match that's extended where like Shuri just torturing this woman, but she's showing her heart, so it was cool. Then from there, I thought this match was disappointing. Utami, Kamatani, and Izumi versus Momo Kid and Rawaka. I don't know if they just felt like they just going through the motions. It's still 3 stars. Felt like they was going through the motions. At the end, you end up having Kamatani, after I guess a whole year of me complaining about her matches with Rawaka, where like she has to do these flash Ranas to beat her because she can't get her up. Gets her up for the Star Crusher and drops her, gets the win. And then after the match, Kid attacks. Oedo attacks Queen's Quest, and Starlight Kid puts Kamatani in the Black Tiger Leg Destroyer submission and says she's going to use it on her at the pay-per-view to win the white belt. Semi-main event, Donna Domando versus Cosmic Angels, Julia, Micah, Natsupoi, and Himeka versus Tam, Mina, Unagi, and Waka. This match builds with it builds it with Micah and Himeka versus Unagi and Mina. Then it turns into Shuri it turns to the Tam section. So, like, it's Tam versus Julia, then Julia gets in Natsupoi, then it's Tam versus Natsupoi, and then Waka gets in versus Natsupoi, and then Natsupoi puts away Tam after giving Waka some near falls, and the crowd's into it, but Natsupoi ends up putting her away with the twisting dive off the top rope. I ended up giving it 3.5. Then the main event. The tag belts, Hazuki and Kaguma versus Ami and Mirai. And I don't know if it's because I already knew the result of this match, or whatever else. Or I didn't know the result. I knew that they retained, but I didn't know I didn't know the situation and how they won or whatever else. So I'm watching this match and I'm just like, damn, they built a hot tag on Kaguma, and then they brought in Hazuki, and then Hazuki's in, and then they built a hot tag on Hazuki for Kaguma to come back in. I'm like, okay, so I guess the finish is going to come down to Kaguma and I guess Ami. So the match keeps going, and that's actually what it came down to. Like, it turns into a singles match between Kaguma and Ami and Hazuki and Mirai. So I was like, okay, they haven't done it. I can't hear the time announcing, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, blah, blah, blah. But I just felt like after a certain amount of time, I was like, God damn, this match is going on long as fuck. And like, I don't feel like they turned up at all. I feel like this shit has been stuck in like second or third gear for forever. Like, when are they going to get to it? So at a certain point, after building towards 2 hot tags, and then they got, and they're getting back towards going to the final stretch with Hazuki and Mirai, I thought to myself, holy shit, they went to a 30-minute time limit draw to get out of this. And sure enough, like, they go, all of a sudden I hear, like, last 5 minutes, like, son of a bitch. And then all of a sudden now you see Hazuki do topes and whatever else, and then it's Mirai and her, and they're having a big brawl, and they're getting each other in, submissions, and then it finally gets hot and good or whatever else, and I'm just like, man, I can't believe it went 30 minutes with Ami. There's no point to do this right now. Like, y'all should have found another contestant or another set of challenges or whatever else. Whatever. So they end up, Mirai goes for her finish, the spinning deal, the Mirror shock. Hazuki escapes out, slaps on Hazuki straw, and then before the pin goes off, you hear the bell ring for 30-minute time limit draw, and I was like, oh my god. So I'm sitting here like, wow, I just watched a 30-minute, 3.25 star match. Awesome. This was great. Exactly. I was like, great. This is fantastic. So, they say they want a rematch. They want to give them a rematch. Or no, they say they deserve a rematch. So, and they say they will take the rematch as soon as possible. So they decide, let's do the July 24th pay-per-view. And I'm like, okay, fine. But it's like, this was unnecessary. As the point of doing a time limit draw is set up a rematch, right? But like, the point of doing the draw is like, you do a match that's so good that people want to see it again. I don't want to see them wrestle again. So nice. Yeah, like I felt like this overexposed Ami in a way to, like, 15 minutes is a hard ass for her, given her experience level, and given it, like, I think it's the wrong matchup for the opponent. Like, I think that maybe not 30 minutes, but like, I think that Ami and Mirai versus Himeka and Micah is a match that makes more sense for them to go, at length, not, these two, a power wrestler and a giant versus like 2 high-speed small wrestlers that are both like 5'1" or 5'2" or whatever else. It was a weird juxtaposition. Like, I understand they have the experience angle, they're better technical wrestlers, they make it work in whatever story, but like, that story didn't work. They were just going back and forth. But yeah, hey, y'all, so this is me punching in post because I totally forgot to preview the pay-per-view that is, I believe on Saturday is the 9th. So I will quickly go through it and get you guys out of here. So, MidSummer Champions 2022, July 9th. I can't remember which, it's a weekend show, but the opening with Lady C versus Hina. This is a match that I don't remember if it was in the qualifying Grand Prix tournament, but two Queen's Quest going at in the opener. This is kind of like, I don't know if this is a pre-show match or not, but like these two should have a good match. Second match, Hannon versus Waka. As I mentioned on the show earlier, that this is a match where they added this to make it a futures match, and it's gonna be interesting to see like what happens with it as far as like how good it'll be and how the crowd reacts to Waka in the near falls and everything else, and like if Waka actually like looks like she has a chance. I hope it's good just for Waka's sake, because I like Waka even though I think she's the weakest wrestler on the roster. Next match after that, you have Queen's Quest versus God's Eye, Utami and Amasaki versus Mirai and Ami. I think this is obviously a match where Ami and Mirai get the win over Amasaki to continue their momentum as the title challengers for July 24th in the rematch versus FWC. But I think this match should be still very good, and I like to see Mirai and Utami together in the ring. I think they have really good chemistry, even dating back to the first singles match they had in Sumo Hall back in March. Next match after that, Quattro's match, Stars versus Oedo Tai, Mayu, Hazuki, Kaguma, and Ida versus Saki, Death, Roaka, and Rina. Should be a good match. And then with the baby faces going over, cause this is, without, Kid and Momo both in white and red belt matches, like it clearly seems like a setup match, for, the heroes here, but, should be a good match nonetheless, unless Saki saves the day for the roster and gets her revival crucifix pin on Ida. I think that's a lone saving grace for Oedo Tai, but we'll see what happens. Fourth match from the top, Cosmic Colors versus the 6 wrestlers in Donald Mondo. Now that Tekla will be back this weekend, so it is Tam and Mina and Unagi and Second Saki and Hikari and Yuko versus Julia, Micah, Nasapoi, Himeka, Tekla, and Mai. Should be a really good match, elimination match. I think it's going to come down to Tam, and that's point will hopefully, and we'll see who comes out on top. But should be a fun match with 12 people just running around and on a pay-per-view setting. So third from the top, high-speed match between Azumi and Kogo. I feel like this is a big match for Kogo. I feel like she is somebody that could fit into the high-speed division and freshen it up, even though, she's not experienced as someone like an Azumi or a Starlight Kid or Kaguma, but I think that like her and Tekla, but I think that like her being added in, I think that she fits well. I think that she, some of the stuff she has shown in the past month or so leading up to this match has shown that like she kind of is ready for this, and she's in there with as good of a high speed opponent as you can ask for. So I think they're going to have a really good match. I think this match is going to impress some people with Kogo. Or it can blow up my face and you can come back in a week and say, James, what the hell are you doing? But we'll see what happens. I think that Kogo has a good showing, but ultimately Azumi gets the W and keeps the title. Second from the top, white belt match, Kamatani versus Starlight Kid. Their match at Osaka on Saturday, it was meant to be a preview match, and normally the preview matches or outpost matches that they call them in Stardom, you get a bit of the singles match in a tag team form, and you're just I can't wait till they get it on and go crazy in the ring in a singles match. And this one, I thought it was fine. I wasn't that impressed, to be honest. But that doesn't mean that I'm not any less excited to see Kamatani and Kid have a big singles match. I don't remember what their match was like in the Grand Prix 2 years ago, but like Kamitani is so much more improved from that point to now. And I think that just given what they've done this year, like this match should go off. I think this match could be a threat for 4.5 stars. I think Kamitani has had that kind of consistency, defense after defense, and I think that Starlight Kid is that level of wrestler. I think they're kind of meant for each other. It just hasn't happened yet. And I think with Starlight Kid now, being a heel like she has been for a year, and I think like this matches perfectly with Kamitani and the crash and burn factor with her. I feel like, her possibly being grounded with this submission thing is a nice dynamic to the normal Kamitani matches, and I think this is going to be really fun. I really do. I honestly think this is like Kamitani's first real threat, someone that can actually like take the belt from her and succeed her. I don't know. If it were me, I would put it on a Starlight Kid and I would get Kamitani ready for a red belt title reign in the next 2 years. But we'll see. I feel like this is like kind of the perfect time to do a title switch. Maybe they're saving it for the fall. I don't know, but I'm excited for this match, and I think there's a real possibility where it's up in the air where anyone can win this one. Red belt match, Shuri versus Momo. I was talking about this match with JML, and JML thinks that Momo can really win this, and for the sake of how good Momo is, I wouldn't mind it if she won, because I think Momo's great. I think Momo is at worst the third best wrestler in the promotion, even with Utami doing what she did last year. I think that highly of Momo. And like, I love the heel turn. I love like what her and Kid have done all throughout the year, basically just terrorizing the roster and winning belts and losing belts and winning new belts and finding a way just to be just great antagonists. I just feel like they missed a step with building her up to get to this point, because once she turned heel, it felt like that was a natural step and she turned heel and Shuri became champion. I feel like they're naturally going to meet each other this year. It just felt like she needed one little, big win to get her over that hump. And I feel like they did the Hazuki singles match at Sumo Hall to be that, but I wish it had been like Utami. I felt like at the time after Utami came with the belt and she was going back to the Queen's Quest and Oedo Tai thing, and they set up that best of 5 series with where it was naturally Momo in Utami, that like them going to a draw when it was like a 10-minute time limit is like it's naturally going to a draw, but like it felt like Momo needed a big win over a big opponent to kind of get herself ready for this. I don't get me wrong, like I love the matches of Black Desire versus FWC. I love the Momo versus Suzuki match in Sumo Hall, but it just felt like she needed one more thing to kind of get her over that hump. Like, earlier I was talking about Nat's Point and Tam, like that win gets Nat's Point over that hump that like, not that she can't win the big one, but like there's no doubt that like the next time she's in a big match, somebody that you just know like she's a real threat, and I just don't feel that with Momo versus Shuri. I feel like she feels more like a contender of the month as opposed to a real threat, like I wish she had been. But doesn't mean that the match won't be great. I don't think that means that like it won't be points where I think that Momo puts her away. But ultimately, outside of Momo being the transitional champion to get it to later in the year, Tam or Julia, I don't really see it. But like that, don't get it wrong. Like this match is gonna be great. I feel like it's going to be one of the best matches in Stardom this year. Given what they did in the Grand Prix final last year, they have plenty of stuff to work with. Like, I feel like this match is going to be great, and I can't wait for it. Because it's a match that, like, once Shuri came to the company, it's like, I can't wait for them to do it, and I can't wait for them to do it again and again and again. And then we're at that point again, and, like, the Grand Prix final last year was the first year where like they had like, or the first time they had like the match that I thought they could have, but I still think there's room for them to have even better match, or a match even to that same par. Like, I feel like they have a great match, so I'm excited and can't wait for it to come the weekend, and I can't wait to talk about it next week on the show. And that's it for this. I'm just gonna punch out and add the end of whatever I said in the show. So I'll throw it to myself from the past. Sounds weird, right? But that's what it is. So take it away, James? ? That's all I have for Stardom this week.
Cool, man.
Yeah. So this time
that.
Yeah.
Go
ahead.
We'll wrap it up then.
All right. Thanks for listening, y'all. For those that are watching on the stream, go to the PayPal, go to the Cash App, hit us up there. If you're listening to the podcast, go to our website and drop us off a donation. And be sure to listen to the other shows on the network. Besides One Nation Radio, we have Keepin It Strong Style, the Ricky Clive Wrestling Show, Grown Man Watch This Shit, The Grave Consequences, 8-Bit Suplex, All Things Elite, Great Match Generator, Get in the Ring, Meet the Press Slam, and AEW Match Guide. Thanks for listening, y'all. Later.
Peace.
Searching for just the right job? Whether you're looking for full-time, part-time, or seasonal work, you can get started today. Amazon Jobs offers the whole package with great pay and flexible shifts that allow you to choose when and how much you work. Find a warehouse close to home and discover the role that works for you. To get your application started for an hourly job, go to Amazon.com/apply. That's Amazon.com/apply. Amazon is proud to be an equal opportunity employer.